I just want to say how cool it is for me because so I was a young kid watching you all go through all this when you all were playing pro. I was what, 5 years old when you guys won
Oh,
the
thanks
French
a lot.
Open. So, and you guys with the bandanas and the USA bandanas and everything. So, for me to be able to do this, this is so awesome to just listen and just enjoy this and got to know Patricia with the Intense League and everything. So, just let's kick it off. I mean, Patricia, how did all this get started with tennis? Because neither of you guys play tennis yourselves, right? I mean, basketball for you. How did this get started in tennis?
Well, to begin with, I went to an all-girls boarding school for high school and then chose a University of Detroit that had 28 men to every female student. So that wasn't a very difficult decision. But when I dated in those 3 years, it was always very clear that I was going to have 11 boys and they were all going to play football at Notre Dame, because I was born in Chicago and my father took me to so many home football games at Notre Dame. Right along, after I had two sons, which was part of the program. Of course, I did get married. I had two sons, and I was so busy with teaching and recreational jobs and everything else. I thought two is more than enough. The two of them can go to Notre Dame. But then there was a little surprise 4 years after Murphy, and it was a challenging situation when I finally got to the hospital. And then finally, after 2 weeks or 3 weeks in the hospital, delivered, I was in the recovery room and I said to the doctor, I am so excited I had two more boys' names. And the doctor said, I have all boys and I would kill to have girls. And I said, not me. And I can't remember the two boys' names that I had all picked out. And he said, well, uh, I'd like to introduce you to your daughters and you've got to take them home. So that's what started the whole thing. And then Title IX started. I was very aggressively involved in Title IX, became the gymnastic coach there. And the boys, first of all, we bought a trampoline to put the girls on in the garage. And we bought a house in the country. And when the boys pre elementary school and during elementary school, when we were on our way home, the mailbox was like a mile and a half from where the house was. So we would always stop the car, get the mail, and put the boys on the road and make them run home for that mile and a half. And that was from the time they could probably just start walking. And so Ford Motor Company then created a program called Punt, Pass, and Kick, which was a skill development program. And there was a Dr. Slaggert who summered in Ludington, Michigan. Oh, we lived in Ludington, Michigan. Population 10,000. And I always said that was at the height of the tourist season when they took that count. But Dr. Slaggert, his son was not only an All-American quarterback at Notre Dame, but he was also an All-American tennis player. And so he told me that to make sure that the boys learned all the skills, the punt, the pass, and the kick, but let them play tennis to learn how to compete and win and lose and prepare. And then when they were juniors in high school, then put them on the field so that to make sure that their growth plates were not injured. And then Luke was at Notre Dame quarterback camp, and we got a phone call from our section saying that Luke was the person in front of Luke that was qualified for the nationals at 14. Was that the 14s, Luke? I think so, 14s. And
Yep.
so I said, well, isn't that nice? So I called Luke and I said, I'm putting you on a Greyhound bus to Shreveport, Louisiana. I'll send one racket down there. so you can have a racket to play with. And I got housing for him. And of course, I didn't know that parents were supposed to travel with junior players. So Luke was on the bus. He surprised, since he hadn't hit a ball in probably 6 weeks. I couldn't believe that he lost first round main, first round backdraw, first round. And he called us at like 2 o'clock in the morning because he was so bothered by losing. And he said, I don't want to have 10 other men determine my destiny. I want to be number one in the world. And his father said, are you drinking? And he said, no, I'm going to be number one in the world. And the great thing is that because of the fact that he was a left-handed quarterback, and on TV for 6 years, every Thanksgiving for the Bears Lions game, college coaches, even though he was only in the 8th grade, college coaches knew about this left-handed quarterback coming. And we got phone calls from the Big Ten colleges saying, you can't put him into tennis. The tennis world said he's way too late. Let him stay, keep him in football. And his goal in the 8th grade was to be number one in the world. And at 18, he was not only number one in the world in singles, but singles and doubles. But then the girls,
the girls.
That's us.
Let's talk about
That's us. Now let Rachel take over.
Woohoo!
Okay, take over, Rebecca.
Rachel, not Rebecca. Rachel.
Okay, you guys. So, Mom, that was really well said. So, Luke, how did it feel to be, after setting that goal, how did that feel to reach your goal of being the number one singles player in the world and doubles player in the world with Patrick McEnroe as a junior? What did that feel like?
It was a great accomplishment. It was a great accomplishment. I felt that all of our accomplishments were family accomplishments. As you know, Murphy really got out of the box before all of us. He was the better junior in the 12s and 14s, and there's more nuances to it. But I got training from the age of 13, 14 when I moved to Grand Rapids to play, basically 365 days a year at a tennis academy, the Mid-America Tennis Academy, run by Don Dickinson. And he was the one who really gave me the fundamentals, the consistency, and really put me on the tennis path instead of the football path. But Murphy, he caught up really fast as soon as he joined me going into high school, and he could play full time. So it was really a family thing. And as you know, both of you were able to get the same opportunity once you guys hit junior high school, when we're able to go from Ludington, which was a seasonal place, no indoor courts. It was always an hour drive here, a 2-hour drive there just to get indoors. And but it really turned, once we got to high school, got to go indoors and start to prove ourselves on the national circuit. That was everything. So the junior stuff was great, but it was a family effort.
Let's talk about Murphy Jensen in the Southerns, because he never got a sportsmanship award. So he was paying.
That's not true.
It is true.
I don't believe it. He's such a good sportsman.
He was paying with real money all of his people in the draw to vote for him for a sportsmanship award, because otherwise he was certain that from Louisiana, he was going to be running home to Michigan.
It wasn't the Southerns. It was actually National Hard Courts, the National 14s in Fort Worth, Texas at TCU. Correct, Murphy Jensen?
Let's do a fact check. Let's back it up. Mom has settled out here.
Luke,
seriously, I need a little quiet time. Murphy has the floor.
Okay.
3 claps for Murphy.
First of all, when Mom would drop us off on the end of town on the dirt road, Luke would actually walk home while Murphy would run home.
Correct. That's a fact.
And I know now, based on Mom's where my problems started, and my problems are well documented. But I never got to go to an all-girls boarding school. That would have really helped things out.
You should have.
I would have, right?
You should have.
Blame.
Problem solved.
No.
Anyway,
My gosh, you
it was
guys.
nothing to do with Louisiana, Mom. It was the 14 national hard courts, and I was the sportsmanship award winner, and there was no money involved. Just
Yeah.
some good people pleasing.
Listen,
Yeah. Some
So
good hard
I have to
work.
ask though, how
Good
like
hard
was
work.
sportsmanship important? I mean, is that why you were gunning to
Absolutely.
aim that?
Well, if our dad said to Luke and I once that if we had ever won the sportsmanship award, that it was he had heard this from somebody that we should run home. It means and that we weren't fighting and trying hard enough. But I did win that sportsmanship award, and it was important to me. But the problem was they gave me the award before the tournament ended.
Ooh.
And I played Malavia, Washington, or maybe Andre Agassi in the third and fourth playoff. And I proceeded to throw 3 rackets over the fence and moon the tournament director. And they wanted to take the sportsmanship award away from me. And there was no way that was going back to Fort Worth, Texas.
Well, you can't document it back then, so you have the hardware, you can prove it. It's yours.
It is,
Yes.
well,
yes.
Washington, let's talk about Aurora when you threw your rackets there and then had to run about 16 miles from Aurora on your way to Ludington.
The way I see it
Guys.
is that I threw you out of the car for being a tough tennis parent.
Yes.
It's the cornfields of Aurora, Illinois, and I
She
played
was an angel.
Malavia, Washington, and I didn't want to have, everyone talks about tennis parents. And my mom was one of those tennis parents. And I said, and I'm 14, and I said, I will drive home. You're going to run out alongside the car until you shape up. And
You are.
something like that, right, Mom?
And then I think she did run. She ran like 15
She
miles.
ran like Forrest Gump in a skirt.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
It was incredible.
And you drove home?
Sorry?
So you actually drove home?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like almost
yeah.
9 hours on the Chicago freeway. No, I let her back in the car, and she knew that being a tough tennis parent wasn't going to pay the bills with this young Murphy.
This is wild. This is wild.
So but I have to ask, because at this point, I mean, you two are pretty good tennis players, but Rachel, Rebecca, I assume you're playing tennis as well, right?
Yeah, we
God, yeah.
At this
we were-
point, they were hacks. Then they developed.
I won the
Thank
I
you,
won the-
Matt Murphy, the guy
Well,
that.
they were going through that. I won the Copper Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, back to back.
Toilet
wasn't a-
bowl, toilet
Yeah.
bowl,
And-
toilet bowl.
Doesn't even matter. Those were nice wins. And
Hardware is hardware.
I mean, I was the number 1 player in the state, the number 1 player in the South, and
Rebecca?
I won the national
And number 2 in
amateurs
the family,
singles,
behind
doubles, and
Rebecca.
mixed doubles. I won 3 gold balls
Yeah.
in one day
You
Where
hooked
are
your
your
way
gold
to
balls?
those 3 gold balls.
Oh,
in the
Star-
trophy case.
No, what
no
trophy case?
sportsmanship awards for you.
In Woodstock,
Keep
and
this
I won
train on track.
several, lots of silvers. We were like gold, silver, gold, and Rebecca's like winning NCAA championships.
the only
I
Jensen
mean,
that
But-
won an NCAA
Rebecca's in
championship.
the Hall of Fame more times than I can even count. I mean, come on.
But how did
Come
this all work,
on.
though?
She had quite a
How does
career.
it work?
Yeah,
How's it working right now? How's it working right now?
Really
I'm
fit.
loving it.
Yeah.
But how does
I
it
got
work?
to play
4
with
kids.
Luke. Oh yeah.
Yeah, like how do you get 4 kids to be that good, driving them around? How do you
A
balance?
lot
Like,
of love and patience and dedication.
but you're also not in the
Mother,
same
thank
age
you.
division.
It was either Detroit or Chicago every weekend. And my favorite story is the last 60 miles from Muskegon, Michigan to Ludington on Sunday night. I was always speeding because I needed to get home. and I wasn't accomplishing anything. So there was one state police person on that road in 60 miles, and there was my speeding car with 4 kids screaming in the back. And I
You
was,
were a very safe driver, Mother.
oh, well, thanks. You sound like
You're a
my,
very, yeah. I'm just telling you, you are very
Everyone
safe.
knows, Mom. Everybody knows that I taught you how to knit.
My mom made like 800, like the most beautiful sweaters on those, what, 800? Yeah, over her
no,
lifetime. You're a
because
very accomplished knitter.
Jay, I figured out how to drive and knit, so I was accomplishing something. So the steps, I didn't speed anymore, but the state police person would stop and ask how the boys and the girls did over the weekend because he knew we were in either Detroit or Chicago playing tennis or training or something.
Wow.
JY, so the reality is well, both parents were phys ed teachers and high school coaches in a small town in Ludington, Michigan. PMJ started through, because of Title IX, this gymnastics kind of dynasty where she won, was it 6 straight state
7.
title? 7 straight.
306.
111 wins in a row.
Yes.
Yeah. So she had this amazing success at the high school level where there were kids that would come through her program that never lost for their entire career in high
Not
school.
one.
And the
They
gym was
knew better.
so the background of a mindset, a culture, a work ethic to grow up in our dad coached high school tennis. And
Played
so
for the New York Giants.
those athletes at the high school level were our big brothers and sisters, and to watch them have fun at sports, work hard. My mom had they basically had a policy, a training policy on the gymnastics team where they trained every day of the year except for the day of Christmas, which was, in my mom's words, optional, which meant it was mandatory. So 365, you grew up in that gym and you watch all the success that these kids are having, and you see young women that are sacrificing their lives, their bodies, a young life to be successful, and all these great role models, female role models that are tough, that are competing injured. And an example, now you would ice an ankle or ice shin splints. My mom would open the door and it'd be in the dead of winter, and a kid would sit on a chair and stick their foot or their leg, their arm into the snowbank for 20 minutes and then pull it out. And that was icing a limb, icing an injury. So you watch that as a kid and you learn right away like what it takes to be great. And when we started the tennis thing, we always had a fight. We always had an ability to compete at a next level that other kids really hadn't reached yet, because we had such great role models growing up and seeing so much success either in gymnastics or, in my dad's case, on the tennis court. But it was all based on commitment to fun and attitude. And the 4 of us, we may have been outgunned in certain aspects as far as we didn't get the court time or the expertise in coaching, but we were always great competitors. That we have this thing called Jensen's never quit, and you can lose, but you never quit to the last swing, and that really carried us to probably the biggest accomplishment. Yeah. It carried us to what I think is our biggest accomplishment was in 1996 at the Australian Open. All 4 of us competed in the main draw. We were in the doubles. Rachel and Rebecca were in the doubles, and then Murphy and I were playing. And it's the first family of 4 siblings that played in the same major. There are other families that had 4 at different times, but never at the same major. So that was really the crown jewel of everything our parents put into it, and most importantly, our mom that made it happen, that drove the miles and made the sacrifices for that to happen. And there wasn't a lot of straight roads on this. Nowadays, because we know better through our experience, what they did, because they didn't know, we'd go to one tournament and then we'd go to the next tournament. It was always right, left, up, take a step back from the careers, juggling 4 different kids in this sport, and then one's off to college, another one turns pro, 2 others are in juniors, and just trying to manage that was all PMJ and her willingness and commitment to make sure her kids, were never going to turn back and say, I could have been a Grand Slam champion. I could have been a pro if you would have given us the opportunity. And she specifically made the sacrifices for that to happen.
Well said.
But let's talk about the time Rebecca was at Kansas, and the three others were in Michigan, decided to go to Tucson to train for the Australian. Do you remember that? And we stopped in Kansas to say hello and dinner with Rebecca, went on to Tucson to train for the Australian Open with Don Dickinson. And then I remember taking you to the airport and putting you all on the plane and waving and saying, I'll see you in Miami. And then once the plane closed the door, I said, oh my God, how am I going to get to Miami? It's just the car and me. And I got a speeding ticket in every state from Tucson to Miami, except Texas. I got 2 speeding tickets there. And then when I moved to Georgia with the girls and tried to get a Georgia license, they found out I had a license in like 5 different states because I had so many points in everything that I had. Oh my God. Your turn, Rebecca.
Well, was this the summer or time that you drove that 90,000 miles?
No, that's when they were in the juniors.
How do you even drive 90,000? I can't comprehend it.
Well, you don't have to change engines.
You just don't stop driving.
Yeah, you have to be in the car all day,
yeah.
every day.
So if 90,000, I mean, it might as well be 90 million. Like, she never stopped driving. I think that's what the point of that.
I mean, car maintenance, the car ever had to go in the shop, miss a tournament?
Yes. We broke down across the country. And where were we, Mom? In Murfreesboro, Tennessee one time.
Sweetwater.
Yeah. Buckley, Michigan, we broke down one time.
Well,
yeah, for sure.
Coming back from Murphy playing the 14s, who was it Ben?
Ben Testerman.
Ben.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know Ben Testerman's father. He was the mayor of, was it Knoxville?
Knoxville.
Okay. So because I knew who Ben Testerman was.
Not know him, knew who he was. He was a top junior in the United States, in the world at the time. So we weren't even the same age group.
I didn't have any money, and the car died or did something wrong. It wouldn't move. And so I called the mayor's office and asked Ben Testerman to come and fix, or Ben Testerman's dad to come and fix my car, and he did. Because I had to get you all home.
Well, but I assume you had to drive so far because there's just not a lot of tennis up there. I mean, even today, there's just not too many tournaments up there. And flying with 4 kids to tournaments is expensive.
Oh, well, at the time, Sports Illustrated had a cover article that it took $100,000 to put one player on the junior national circuit. We had 4. Their father was making 30 as a teacher, and I was making 30 as a teacher. And Murphy insisted upon eating, for God's sakes.
And so, but was there stress about that? Any doubt to be like, we just can't do this. This is too much. How did you get through that? Never. You got very creative. And well, for example, when Luke first played Kalamazoo, which is the U.S. Open of junior tennis, what I thought was interesting was that the other 3 nationals, there were only sleeping parents in the audience, well, at least in those days anyway. And when they got to Kalamazoo, it was the biggest event of the year to the community. So people were talking and eating. And so many of the players were distracted by all the noise in the stands. So we created in Grand Rapids, Michigan, with the top college coaches of the country, a program called Players Made in the USA. And Luke was in Junior Davis Cup at the time. In fact, Murphy, as a 16-year-old, made the 18 Junior Davis Cup, but his father made him continue to play in the 16s
So he was there in the 16s with his Junior Davis Cup uniform on. It was like he was the target every single tournament he went to. But back to players made in the USA, and then we did exhibitions downtown Grand Rapids after training in the morning. So, and all of the like business people would come into the Amway Grand Plaza and watch the tennis and eat and talk, so that our junior players got ready for Kalamazoo and the noise and the distractions and the audience there.
Yeah, and that place is a zoo. It's chaotic. I mean, it is. If for the first time playing as a junior, that was the worst I ever did. I just couldn't handle it. I just didn't like. I didn't like the chaos. So, did you guys ever train together? Like all four of you just start training, practicing together?
Oh, all the time.
How did that go? Because me and my brother got in a lot of fights.
I mean, I definitely, yeah.
Rachel, don't you think? I mean, I should have been a model.
You are a model.
I would get car sick. And you're talking about driving all those miles and the expense of junior tennis. I mean, there weren't airplanes. We were grateful we weren't riding horses to these matches.
Yeah, totally.
Being perfectly honest.
Totally.
A van full of Lithuanians gone wild. I mean, it's like a Hangover 4.
So, JY, the reality is that the secret sauce, besides the commitment from our parents, specifically PMJ, was because Rachel and Rebecca had a built-in practice partner. Murphy was really good early on, and so he was challenging me a lot, even though I had an age difference. He was very consistent. I was kind of hit and miss. But the secret sauce that really propelled us was every day we were competing with each other. So the twins were competing with each other in everything. There wasn't the first to get into the van, the first to get to the car. It didn't matter what it was. Someone was trying to win something. Who's going to be in the front seat? Who's going to be in the back seat? And Murphy and I were competing at everything. So we get on the practice court in tennis. It didn't matter if it was a dinkum game, if it was a set, if it was a 10-point baseline game. At some point, there'd be some shady line call, a shady scoring dispute, rackets would start flying, and it was every single day, the battle. So the greatness of that, it was horrible for our parents because it became the referee. They became referees between these four kids. But the reality was we were conditioned to compete every day. So when we walked into an arena and it was hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line, or we were playing a top-ranked player on a big court, we didn't have like a practice mode and a game mode or a match mode. We just had like this competitive mode that was life and death every single thing we did. So we were so used to pressure every single day, winning or losing every single day, not liking it, and taking it out on our opponent, in our case, our sibling, every single day. So when Murphy and I were playing, Murphy would be telling me in the middle of a match, listen, you're blowing it for the team here. I'm telling mom that you're blowing it. You're not playing that good. This is while we're trying to beat two other professional tennis players, and there's a lot of money on the line. There's points on the line, the grind of the tour. And so that was really our secret sauce, because it didn't matter what pressure was across the net on the tour or in juniors or in college.
The rowing people.
It was what we faced every single day against the twins specifically. It was a battle every day. Murphy and I, a battle every single day. And that really prepared us for the competition moving forward, because nothing fazed us. We were always in a battle.
Patricia, how was that for you at home?
I think I encouraged it to make sure that they understood that, you know, their racket needed to do the talking, and they needed to have a good experience at the end of every time walking on the court or crawling in the van.
And Rebecca, Rachel, I have to wonder, did you ever miss tournaments because you're a different age group, to where your mom had to take Murph or Luke to somewhere else, or was there always
No.
divisions there for you to play?
There was we always we had separate schedules, and then we would meet up, but we definitely never missed a tournament. I mean, we were like weekend warriors. We played somewhere every single weekend. I mean, from like age 10, like 8, 9, 10. Yeah.
So let me paint a picture for this.
Murphy.
PMJ prime time, my mother, she didn't have 90,000 miles put on the van. She had 900,000. I'd be playing the hard courts in San Jose. The girls would be playing the hard courts, 14s or 12s in San Diego. Luke would be playing Burlingame or Louisiana. And she would drive from Burlingame, California to Houston, Texas to see Luke's match because he needed extra support. And then as soon as he got done with his match, he usually dragged it on because he needed mom's attention. He'd get back in the car and say, Rachel and Rebecca have doubles at 2:00. And she would 190 on the back roads back to San Diego. And then she would hustle back to Middletown, Ohio to see my match. So it was this wild, out of this world driver way before F1. It was
way before Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog. Yes. Dude, Sonic
the Hedgehog.
Listen, Murphy, don't blame me for that. Do you remember Murfreesboro, Tennessee, when Murphy went the first round?
They named the city after me after I won.
No. JY, listen, he wins the first match, and Luke is playing the national clays. Wasn't it Louisville?
Nashville.
Okay. So Murphy goes up to the tournament director after the first win and says, "Excuse me, will you please line up the rest of the draw for me because I want to get this done today and win all my matches because I want to go and see my brother play because I've got to warm him up because he'll never make it without me." The tournament director didn't even know what he's talking about.
Well, let's cut to part 2.
Okay, part 2.
Murphy becomes a mental health advocate as a result of growing up in his house.
Yeah.
Drop the mic, Rachel Ann.
Well,
no, Mom, Murfreesboro, I just knew that Luke needed all the more support. Here's the thing.
Let's go to part 2. Let's get to part 2.
John, is Luke would in the middle, like we'd share rooms because you had to cut down on costs, and I'm in this bed and he's in this bed, and he'd wake me up.
Well, Daddy gave you bed on the floor.
The things he would say, he'd be having nightmares. He would say, "Murphy, don't hit the ball so hard. Murphy, thanks so much for letting me come close to you today. I just want to beat you on the tennis court." I've learned something from this group. Never let the truth get in the way of a good story. They've been telling us since we were little kids that, tennis is 98% mental. Well, that takes me out of the game.
Hey, JY, is this a rehearsal? When are we going to start the show?
That's a good question.
The show never stops.
Talk about the band. I want to talk about the band.
Okay.
The band?
What does John Eves want to talk about?
I want to talk about the band.
Jambon fromage.
Okay. So, JY, after the boys won this, there was a tournament in Paris, and after they won that tournament, their first endorsement was from Adidas America, and every pre-US Open, that Adidas America would schedule the boys to go to Bed-Stuy in New York, one tennis court and probably 50 or more kids if not more. And Murphy would always take half of them and go shoot hoops instead of teaching him, letting him hit tennis balls with him. But then the boys and the girls would always invite all the kids at Bed-Stuy to go to the tennis the following day, because during qualies at the time, there was no Arthur Ashe Kids Day. There were qualies at the time, and it was free admission. So, and then Luke and Murphy knew the kicker at, where did Lowry hit? Was it the Giants?
The
Jets.
Jets.
The Jets. The
So
Jets.
Nick Lowry, somehow the boys knew Nick Lowry at the Jets, and they would bring their guitars, and at the East Gate of the US Open, they would be playing music to welcome people. And this one little kid went up to Murphy and he said, "Hey, who are you?" And Murphy said, I guess Murphy told him who the band was. And the little kid said, "Well, I've never heard of you." And the band's name was then born, "We've Never Heard of You Either." And they played at Hard Rock, they played at Planet Hollywood. It was just always something very entertaining, and I love the music component of entertaining kids above and beyond forehands and backhands.
Okay, wait. It is worth noting that Peter Moore designed that Jensen line, and Peter Moore designed Air Jordan. And so Peter Moore, who designed Air Jordan, that in that movie Air was about, designed the Jensen line for Adidas. I love that. That's so cool.
Also Rob Strausser, because it was Rob Strausser and Peter Moore that left Nike and purchased Adidas America from Adidas in Germany.
Yeah. I think that's a cool fact.
Yeah, it really is. So, and they did so many really great things with the Adidas brand, but I also like the Cartoon Network. When the Adidas endorsement was up, we negotiated something with the Cartoon Network, and they had a Scooby-Doo line of apparel, but the ATP wouldn't let them wear it because, if you'll recall, there was Scooby-Doo from the navel up on Luke's shirt and Scooby-Doo on the navel down on Murphy's shirt. And do you remember when you would hit a great point, the whole crowd would go Scooby-Doo, and then but then when you went to the US Open, they wouldn't let you. Or how about Murphy? How about
the American Express buses were cool? That was a cool collab.
What was that?
When they were on buses for American Express, in New York City.
Oh, the wrapping of the bus with the
that was a really cool thing as well.
They were on their Harleys though, and in that wrap, weren't they?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was just, really, really fantastic.
Well,
Rebecca,
before all,
like to say something.
I was going to say, before all this happened, Luke, you started traveling internationally to get, to number one in the world as juniors, right? How old were you when you started traveling?
Oh, geez. So I want to say they got us out. So our parents, so PMJ and Howard O, I want to say I was the first experience I had internationally where there was this thing, and it's still going on after all these years. It's called Tennis Europe.
Yeah.
And if you're a junior player and you've been part of this, it's Marty Vinokur. He still runs it. And it's for junior players who want this international experience. And I played in Belgium, and it was the first professional tennis player I'd ever played. I was, I think, 15 years old. And I got to 14, 15, got to go to Belgium. We went to Wimbledon after the tournament was played. We went to France. We played all over Europe, a bunch of countries on grass courts, red clay and everything. And that was really my first chance to see what tennis would offer someone who was committed to a high level. where compared to other sports, which was more regional or local compared to tennis, where you can take it anywhere you want around the world. Tennis is played in so many countries. And so that was my first taste. And that was, I want to say, 81-ish. And then I remember flying back to New York, and Don Dickinson, who I was working with at the time, took me to my very first US Open as a fan. And I got to see Borg and Stan Smith and Johnny Mack and all these superstars, right? When tennis had already moved to Flushing from Forest Hills, and it was big. It's the biggest tennis stadium in the world at the time, Louis Armstrong, and it was magical. And I remember specifically, like, I really want to be a pro tennis player. I want to see the world through the game of tennis. And it's Arthur Ashe, and it's Billie Jean King, Chris Evert. I mean, going to one of these majors is magical for a kid from a Christmas tree farm in Ludington, Michigan, to see Europe and then back that up to end the summer in New York at the US Open. It was just amazing. It just gave me the motivation, like, this is clearly what I want to do. Let's get back on the court before school, after school, every weekend, and pursue this.
But then you didn't, because you went to college, right? You could have gone pro.
Yeah, that's
So what was that all about?
Oh,
to be perfect,
that's very nice, JY.
yeah.
Well, it's rare to be number one as a junior and then not go pro.
Well, today it is. Today it is.
Today.
In those days, honestly, so Aaron Krickstein, who was a tremendous junior player and ended up top 10 in the world in singles. He was also from Michigan. He was right before me. Honestly, like 82, 83, when I was coming in. We actually played against one another in high school tennis. And so he was just phenomenal. And so he had, if you remember, he beat like Vitas Gerulaitis at the US Open after he'd won Kalamazoo. He had turned pro. This guy, Jimmy Brown, out of Memphis, Tennessee, he had won Kalamazoo. He had turned pro. Sammy Giammalva. But there was only a handful that had really kind of, bridged that gap and gone. But we were still kind of in. John McEnroe went for a year at Stanford. Connors went for a year at UCLA. It was very rare that you had guys, just because there really wasn't enough money in endorsements yet. So you'd prove yourself in college. And specifically, I had a pretty good year in 85, like working up the rankings, and Arthur Ashe sat with me, and he was the captain at the time for the US Davis Cup team. And we were playing Japan, and they didn't need McEnroe, and they didn't need Connors. And so Krickstein was going to play. I think Arias was in the mix. And I got a call to speak, to have a meeting with Arthur Ashe. And of course, you're meeting with a god, right? A tennis god. And Arthur was very supportive. Back in those days, I used to practice with Connors and Chris Evert and Johnny Mack. I mean, that's what top juniors did back in the day. The elite players from the United States would take the next generation of juniors and mentor them. And Arthur, kind of leading that charge, practice with Dick Stockton, be coached by Brian Gottfried, who was top 10 and all these things. So you're getting all this unbelievable advice. And Arthur sat me down, and I thought he was going to ask me to join the Davis Cup team to play against Japan. And so he sat me down and he goes, what are your plans? I go, Captain Ashe, I'm having a really good, I've won some tournaments, some pro tournaments now. And I'm ranked probably 214 in the world in singles on the HB Tour. And I really want to pursue professional tennis. And he said, how much does 214 in the world make? It's a good question. I had no idea. So it was a loaded question. He knew exactly what he was saying. He goes, well, according to my research, 214 in the world makes 14,300. And, it's like, oh, yeah, I hadn't thought about it. He goes, well, that really doesn't get you too far in professional tennis. Once you turn pro, you're paying for everything. And I'm thinking, well, I'm going to get endorsements. I got Prince, I got Fila, I've got Brooks. I've got the dual hand thing going. I'm hot right now. And he goes, well, 214 in the world is not really that hot. And he's saying, I went to UCLA. I went to college. Stan Smith went to college. Johnny Mack, Jimmy Connors. He goes, go there and grow up. And he didn't say that I wasn't good enough to turn pro. What he said, he wanted me to get away from home, go 3,000 miles away. And I ended up going to Southern Cal to learn how to balance a checkbook, get up and be the first one in class and learn oceanography, communications, all these things. He worried about me specifically as a human being first. He said, tennis will always be there. You're good enough to be on the pro tour, but I really want you to grow up and experience life beyond tennis. So that really influenced me to look into the college ranks, and Southern Cal specifically had a great environment. Dick Leach was the coach. Rick Leach's son was on the team, and I got to room with him. He was my captain. And so it was a family environment. So I left my family to join the USC family. And I didn't have the success. I was playing Becker and Edberg and these guys, and they were in 84 and 85. They're winning singles majors. 84, Edbergen won the Australian. 85, Boris wins Wimbledon. And I'm going to Southern Cal in college. But looking back, it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I did learn so much more as a human being than just forehands and backhands. And Coach Leach told every one of us, I'm going to teach you how to win a Grand Slam. I'm going to focus your talents to play the next level. And he did. Murphy and I went through that program. His son ended up winning a bunch of Grand Slams. Jorge Lozano was on the team. He won, I think, a mixed doubles at the French. So there was a bunch of other pro players out of that program. So it was, at the time, and the way you look at it, it's like, I could have done more maybe as a singles player, but as a human being, it was the best thing that happened to me to grow. Exactly what Arthur said, go beyond the lines and grow as a person.
And so, Murphy, when Luke went off to college, you spent a little time being now the older brother in the house. How was that, having Luke gone, but now you're the oldest one in the house? And how was that for you?
Well, a couple of things happened at that time. A coach of ours, Brian Marcus, had moved down to Atlanta, and our mom, PMJ, brought in Victor Amaya, U.S. Open and French Open doubles champion and a quarterfinalist at Wimbledon, losing to Borg in 5. But he's a 6'8" lefty, and it was really strategic. I got to have a coach that could develop my game in all of our games, but it was really, really strategic and smart. I gotta say that my rock, my big brother, wasn't there, and personally, looking back, whether anyone's ever heard it, I used to suffer on the tennis court because I didn't want to lose my brother. I thought that not making it in the game of tennis meant that I would be losing that connection to a person that was my hero and made me feel safe and protected. And so Victor and I trained quite hard, and he would ask me, to tears and the blood and the sweat. And so next thing I know, Luke's turning pro, and I'm following in his footsteps, and I get to LA and he's not there. So anyway, it wasn't we as you can tell from this interview so far, from the beginning, this is an extremely close cellularly connected family. On a cellular level, we are I look at it beyond a family. We have experienced a lot, and undeniably a strong unit as a direct result of our mom's leadership.
Murphy, when Mal was with you guys in Grand Rapids, Mal Washington, so how did that help the dynamic for, having two elite juniors working with this elite coach in Victor Amaya?
Yeah, Melody Washington joined us, and we had twin beds down in the basement together. And Victor, like Dick Leach for you, or the Brian Marcus or Arthur Ashe's advice had Mel and I playing best of 5 every day. after a 2-hour grind session. So, you know, everything we were doing was at an extremely highly competitive level, but but it was always fun. You know, all the coaches kept it fun. I think Victor brought the most professional spirit to the courts for me. And I really liked having something new, and that was just mine personally, that I didn't have to share, whether it was Brian Marcus or Don Dickinson, with you, Luke. And I really connected well with Victor. So
How did Malavai get there?
he walked from Flint, Michigan. I'd have given him a ride, but he had just gotten busy, done kicking my butt in the Genesee Valley Open. So Malavia, Washington, and I had been playing since the age of 8 together. I played him in the 10 and under state championships, and we were friends. And he wanted better tennis too. And whether it's the Washington family or in particular Malavia, or our mom, PMJ there, put together, she didn't want a tennis academy down in Florida raising her kids. So she created an environment of great competition and great practice and great play and great coaching. And so all of us kids could stay home in Michigan, whether it's Todd Martin, Mel Washington, and a number of others, you name it. We had these weekend programs. They weren't tournaments, but we had played darn near 60 sets over 3 days. We just play sets after sets after sets, and pizza at lunch and pizza at dinner, and then wake up in the morning and eat the cold pizza for breakfast and get back to it. But in some ways, I'm being joking, but it's absolutely true. And that just created this environment of a ton of kids. We're all getting better. And that's really was the goal, is that we would improve and hopefully maximize our and I'm looking back today, I look at tennis as always been and always will be a vehicle of becoming a good human being. And that's actually what's most important to me now looking back. And tennis still is a vehicle for me to sort out whether I have a mess between my ears, my thinking, or I can get resilience and confidence and self-esteem and things like that. And pretty cool. Thanks, Mom.
That's the way Rebecca coaches all of her camps every single.
Hey, JY, real quick. So looking at that historical, that time frame, and you hear about the tennis boom in the 70s really benefited the northern states. That used to be seasonal. And when indoor tennis houses, really the first one was the Midtown Tennis Club. And you see Midtowns all over the place. But the one in Chicago specifically that started this boom where there was an industry to play year-round tennis. And throughout Michigan just alone, between Grand Rapids, Lansing, and a lot of clubs in Grand Rapids, Kalamazoo was in that mix. There's this big industry of kids now being able to play year-round, and their coaches committed to it. And so at one point, so that's late 70s, 80s, early 90s. And out of that, the elite level, we had Crickstein top 10 in the world, Mal Washington top 10 in the world, and Todd Martin. So Todd Martin, Crickstein, Mal Washington, Murphy and I just won the French. We had our own Davis Cup team, basically, that could have played for the state of Michigan against anybody. And that's against the United States that had Agassi and Sampras and Chang and whatever doubles team they wanted to roll out there. And so it was all because of the tennis boom happened, and a lot of coaches and a lot of parents that committed to indoor tennis and the pathway, whether through college or straight to the pros.
So, but Patricia, how were you able to do that? Because in today's world, it's actually pretty hard to get kids to get together and train together a lot. They almost would rather be separate. They stay in their little academies in their little protected area, and they don't go train with a lot of academies don't want other coaches bringing their kids to their academies. They're afraid they're going to steal them. I mean, I guess was it just a different environment, or just great relationships and people trusted you all?
Well, I think maybe trusted you all, trusted us, but it was an opportunity for everybody to hit with each other. And it's unlike today where the coaches today, if some juniors are punished if they possibly at a tournament will say hello to a competing coach or a coach that runs another program. And I've seen that repeatedly over the last 3 years. And so that's why, quite honestly, that's why I have so much respect for Rebecca's program, because she teaches the love of the game first while you're learning your forehands, backhands, and learning how to win. But the
And
love of the
yeah. Jerry, remember back then there's no homeschool, right? Everybody's in a brick and mortar school. And court time, especially in the North, was so limited. And so if a club opened up for the weekend, we'll do Friday after school, Saturday, Sunday, and we're just going to roll out sets. You know, it's not for points. And remember the rankings, there's no live ranking. There's no UTR. You get one ranking at the end of the year. You appeal it if you want to have an appeal process, and there's a final ranking in early December, and that's it. No one's chasing, points. You just get your indoors, your Easter Bowl, your clay courts. There's an actual national hard courts, and then the nationals, which would be Kalamazoo. And those were the major tournaments outside of your sectional stuff. And everything else was just getting better. And so there wasn't really a lot of poaching because, I lived in Grand Rapids, or Crixine lived in Detroit, and you went to normal school. You played high school tennis. And now with the homeschool aspect, the academy aspect, and now the poaching, if you're not getting the message or you're not getting your UTR going up, you jump ship to the next guy or academy that's offering you something. So it's just a different world.
Then Rebecca, Rachel, then when Murphy goes off to college, now it's just you two in the house. How is that environment like? Is it a little quieter now? I mean, how much did you guys compete amongst each other?
Rachel can take over that one. No, Rachel and I, it was loud with or without them. Like it was different not having them there, because Luke I don't think there ever a mixed doubles match that we ever finished, because Rachel would play with Murphy and I would play with Luke. And I think by the end of the third or fourth game would be off the court because someone would get hit and go off the court and be done. Would I be right in that? Or unless Luke and I just won all the matches. Yeah, no, I thought that would get your attention, Murphy.
But two of you all ended up playing mixed doubles together in the one of the slams, right?
Yeah, I played. Yeah,
Luke played with Rachel at the U.S. Open, and then with me at Wimbledon, and I played with Murphy at the U.S. Open.
How'd you guys do?
We won it.
We won.
Rachel played with Murphy at the Open too.
We lost first round.
They lost first round. Murphy and I won that year.
Rebecca was the better twin. Always has been.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's why Rachel became a published author and a brain scientist.
And went to Africa, Kate Spade.
Yes.
I'd like to say real quick, this is important. Rachel is moving her oldest child, her daughter, into Harvard right now. So I just want to say, whatever we say about Rachel, I think we have someone in the family that is going to Harvard University. Just want to put that out there. I didn't have that on my bingo card.
JY, do you mind if we take a break? Luke, will you fix your hair? Something just is out of place. And you got some in your teeth.
Like right there.
Okay,
Harvard.
Right there.
Did you think we'd ever have someone in the family at Harvard? Now, prison, yes. Harvard, no.
And on top of it, going for a law degree. Unbelievable.
And we're going to need it. We're going to need it.
What was it like for you all to be at the slams together? I mean, because as siblings, you said it, Luke, at the beginning, where you go there and you just feel this magic, right? It's hard enough to get one person there. It's hard enough to get two. Then you get three. Now you got four. I mean, you can't. And then Patricia, for you as a parent, like, how do you feel? How do you put that in context?
Rebecca?
No, so thanks, Mom, for including me in this conversation. Now that Murphy just muted Rachel, so thanks.
You're welcome. Swim me a fish.
So I honestly just thought that's what we were supposed to do. Just on a grander scale. We were at junior tournaments together. We were at the clubs on the weekends. So the Grand Slam is the Grand Slam, but that's what we were destined to be. So I think it was just we were playing court 1, court 2, and I was at Wimbledon playing with Luke, and there was Murphy over in the corner signing autographs, but he was there watching me. And then that to me was really cool, be able to have my siblings watching their siblings play at Wimbledon. That was pretty sweet. Or when I got to play again, we got the wild card in the U.S. Open from winning the NCAAs, and the boys were like the deal at that time. And I was able to wear their gear with the Jensen tattoo on my arm, and there they were cheering me on. And just because I was a Jensen, the court was packed, and to have them there, and my mom there, and my twin there you can't describe that. That to me, I rather like to have my family there. It's priceless. It really is.
Well, what's interesting is I think from the beginning, pro was never discussed in the family, right? It just happened.
Yep.
And to happen to everybody, was it one of those things where you just kept following each other? Like, well, if they did it, well, then I can do it. If they did it, then I can do it. And it just kept passing along like that?
I personally thought this is what we were meant to do. It wasn't a question, can I be a pro? It was, I will be a pro. I will succeed because that's what we do. That's what my mom instilled in. Jensen's never quit. That was just the next level. If there's a level above the pros, I'm sure we have all done that. It was just what we were meant to do, what we were destined to be. And no one said you can't.
And Jay, yeah.
No one questioned.
Sorry, Rebecca.
Can't do it because we all did it. Other people said we couldn't do it, but we all know we would do it because that's just what.
Jay, you got to put in context too. Back then, there was an American confidence. When you were a top junior, you were going to be a top American collegiate player, male or female. And then if you were a top American collegiate player, even top junior, if you didn't turn pro, you were playing every summer. You were playing the satellites. You were playing the challengers. It wasn't like a few of us, well, I want to be pro or I don't want to be pro. It was just a natural progression. When you're looking at, let's say, a draw at Wimbledon in 1984 at Wimbledon, you've got 52 American flags in the main draw out of 128. And as you're a junior, that is my destiny. And that's just on the men's side. That's not the women's side. We dominated the space. We dominated the top 10, the top 20. We won the doubles, the mixed doubles. It was Connors and McEnroe and everybody behind those guys. They were winning majors all the time. And you just everybody felt, and it's Davenport, it's Capriati. And then, right after, in Murphy's age group, you got Agassi, Sampras, Cheng. It's all because it's just the natural progression. You're a top junior. You are going to be in the footsteps of McEnroe, Connors, Evert, and all these others. And it never was a thing, are we going to be pro or not? It was just the next evolution of what you're going to be. Today's kids don't have that mindset. We are not the superpower we once were. We haven't won a men's singles title since Roddick in 2003. We're close, but it's just not the same. And the mindset you see in the junior ranks, they don't want to be pro. They want to kind of pull it into college. If I do okay in college, maybe I'll play a couple of futures. That's the wrong mindset. You've got to be training every single day. And then you got to give yourself, as soon as college is done or when you do turn pro, it's 3 years. It's 3 years to get out there and get your butt kicked, get some points. and then the second year to defend those points. And then you got to pay for one more year, whatever it is, to see if you got the stuff, if you got the right stuff to start gobbling up the points, get into the top 100, 150, singles or doubles, so you can at least break even financially. If anyone says, I'm going to give it 6 months, a year, it just doesn't work. You need more runway. And the American confidence on the competitive side just isn't there. There's some elite players that are doing it, but you go to a tournament now, elite level national, and you don't see kids like eyeing pro tennis. You just don't. There are buys in the challengers. It just, you don't see it. It's just not the same environment than when we played, where you were taking that next step.
So is that something that was more just naturally developed because of the environment you're in? Because I've recognized the same thing. Like when I got into coaching, it was actually surprising how many parents from the beginning said, oh, no, they're not going pro or anything. I'm like, no. I didn't even ask. Like, let's just go work hard and for a few years, see what happens. They downplay because they're almost afraid to fail, it feels like to me. How much is it just the always wanting to take the safe route, get to college, get the job, and a combination of we're not seeing slam winners to make it look like it's actually a viable path?
TMJ, do you want to answer that?
I think it's because of the fact that there's so many tournaments, and I don't want to say anything negative about UTR, but I've never seen so many junior tournaments where if Susie Jones is about to play a person UTR that's below her, she'll pull out with an injury for fear that the girl with a lower UTR is going to beat her. So you travel all over the country to play a tournament, and then you lose half of the matches, or you miss out on half of the matches because your opponents, lower UTRs, will pull out against you.
Yeah.
And remember, JY, too, back in the day, you're talking 90% of the D1 scholarships, guys or girls, went to Americans. Now 73% of the D1 scholarships go to international players. They look at internationals, and now with the college format where they're looking for transfer portals, they go right to the portal and get kids that are already in college, so you don't have to risk it. Can this freshman survive academically and socially at my university? So let's just take the safe, play and get a transfer kid. So there's everywhere, if you want to be a high performer as an American, there's no place to go. You know what I mean? You get a roadblock here, a roadblock there. Whereas it's just different now. You're chasing points internationally on this ITF thing. And it's just spending money, spinning your wheels. And what? This as a coach, not getting better. Yeah. And it's real easy, right? I mean, again, it came from the top. We'd play, win a match or lose a match, and I promise you saw Jensen on the practice court hitting serves. You saw Jensen on the track running sprints. No matter what, that's just what we did, and that's what the best players do. You go to the WTH or the HP. I promise you, Pagula's working on her second serve after every match, win or lose. That's what she does. Navarro, the best players do that. You don't see that in juniors. As soon as the match is over, they're on the phone, grabbing a protein bowl somewhere, a Tropic Smoothie. It's just a different environment. And so they just stop at college and go, that's kind of it. So it's just different now. I don't know if we would have made it this year. So in this day and age, if the Jensen family could actually happen, because it is so expensive to chase these points, to get out there and get after it. In the belief in the American kid, I just don't see it. For the elite, the top of the best, Coco Gauff is a great role model. And Rebecca, you think Coco Gauff is going to be a great role model for young kids like the Williams sisters were. But does that get him to the pros? Does that get number 50 in the nation to the pros? No. Or number 60, 70? And we know tons of those players that we played against that were not blue chip players or 5 stars, but they all did very well on the pros, whether doubles or singles. It's just a different landscape. So that's why I think we were at the right place at the right time, and our parents had the right athletic mindset, not tennis mindset, but like throw you out there and you're going to outcompete the other side. That was the difference.
And this JY, we need to talk about the development of the Jensen family strategy theory instead of what's happening in junior tennis today. Correct?
Yeah, we can go on and on about today. We got to hear this.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go. I want to hear your strategy.
Okay, well, what's my strategy? My strategy was creating opportunities and making certain that they were scheduled every single day of the calendar year with development or improving whatever they were doing, whether it's academically or athletically, with in their lives. And what I really appreciate what Rebecca said was the love of the siblings and the love of the family, that everybody is always there for each other, even though Murphy's in Seattle and Luke's at the Delta terminal somewhere all the time. But everybody keeps in communication and available for each other any and every day of the week if needed.
Mom,
What?
isn't it time Murphy should have an outfit change? Oh, announce how good Murphy smiles looking today.
This is my good side.
Yeah.
You need an outfit change right about now?
Actually, this is my bad side.
Murphy Jensen, life coach.
I want
Teaching a master class in being classy.
I want to talk about the U.S. Open when Jimmy Buffett was in New Jersey and he wanted to put the two of you on stage with him, and the U.S. Open scheduled you on a grandstand court, and they had like the top seed scheduled in stadium, and unfortunately Jimmy Buffett's concert went on, and when all of the ticket holders saw that the Jensens were in grandstand, they left the stadium to fill up the grandstand. And what I always had a lot of respect for is that the boys never never walked away from anybody looking for an autograph. The security would almost always every match have to escort them off because the next match had to go on, and they would continue outside with giving an autograph to any and every, especially young people that wanted it. And of course, then there was the day that, because of the fact that they had such an influence on young players, we had a significant offer from Heineken that they all
Kids and Heineken. Okay.
yeah, the Jensens collective.
What a plug.
Filter.
I will do
Filter.
nothing but a Budweiser light.
It was Heineken, and we said,
Oh,
I think she.
that took her
I think she,
Amazing.
there's your filter.
out.
No, she said no. If I had known anything about it, that offer would have been fine with me. We'll deal with the repercussions later. That I'm just saying. Happy hour at the U.S. Open by the Globe in the Fountain. It don't get more better than that. It's
Well,
hot there.
And tennis was
Aren't
different
you in
back then.
recovery? Aren't you in recovery?
Not because of Heineken, because of you.
Me!
Face the truth, Luke. Face the truth.
Oh my God.
I got to see if
Oh.
Patricia's going to come back in.
Do we?
Lost
Or
Do
maybe
we?
we just keep rolling. So
We've lost Mom. We lost Rachel.
We'll keep rolling. But
Yeah.
Rebecca, what was it like when,
Oh,
they
I'm right here.
Ah,
I am right here.
Oh.
Rachel, any thoughts?
Earth to Rachel. Come in, Rachel.
I love you guys. I just feel so grateful to be in this family, and I love you guys.
JY's leaving.
He's gone now
Not yet.
soon.
Who is
So it's
that?
just the four of us.
BMJ,
So,
man.
so Rachel, oh, she's back. Yes.
All right, guys.
Patricia, you're on mute.
That's fine.
All right, guys. I've got to take off. I've got to help with this move a
Good
little
luck
bit.
at Harvard, Rachel.
I
Good
love
luck.
you
We're all
guys.
Thanks,
proud
Rachel.
of
Thanks,
you.
guys. You're the best.
Go to
You're the best.
class.
Tell Elwood hello.
Let's see if I can unmute Patricia for a little bit.
He's gone now.
Well, I think you're gonna have to press that little
Yeah,
button.
she's gonna have to do it. Yeah.
You have to figure it out. Yeah.
JY, is this the craziest podcast you've had so far?
Yeah. Yeah. But I had the ambidextrous stuff come in, Luke. How
Everyone
did
that-
calls you JY because they can't pronounce your name.
That's exactly why I'm called JY.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I went to school at Florida State, and in Tallahassee, late at night at a bar, they cannot pronounce my name. So freshman year was rough, and we had to figure something out. So, JY led to some easier conversations,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
it stuck. So, yeah, Patricia, we still can't hear you. You're still on mute.
This is
we
the
go.
best part of the interview. So we've got
Just
her.
watching and
oh,
trying to figure it out.
that
There
it?
it is. You're in.
Oh, great. All right. As I said, just because I declined the Heineken offer, they threw me off of the interview.
No.
Again.
The more you drink, the better I played out there. That's all I can say. The more you drink, the better the Jensen brothers played. Even on a bad
It's better
day,
than water.
a 6-pack in, you're going to say, man, that was the best match I've ever seen. And
If you could even remember,
that's why alcohol sponsors do so well at the U.S. Open. So even if you're on court 630, you're going to see a great match because you're well hydrated. Right, Rebecca?
Fact. I agree with whatever Murphy says. Whatever Murphy says, he's right.
I mean, Murphy, let's really talk about the turning point in our career. If Sabatini if you would have married Sabatini after that great date you had with her at the Australian Open where you were wearing your airline socks, do you think it would have changed your career?
It would have changed my life. I'd be speaking Spanish and not talking to you fools. I would be down riding horseback in Patagonia.
Yep.
Buenos dias, Gabriela.
Well, we got to hear about this date because my family's Argentinian, so I definitely know who Sabatini is. Y yo hablo español, so we'd still be doing the podcast in Spanish.
Sí, señor.
Let's hear about this date.
What
Yeah,
happened?
hot date.
Well, I find out I've been stalking her for 2 years, and I find out she likes motorcycles. I find out she likes koala bears, and I know she loves Argentinian football. Who doesn't in Argentina, right? And so it's 300 degrees in Sydney, and we're staying at the Intercontinental Hotel, and I've got Brenda Schultz arranged for this, and her agent, Luke, who was her agent at the time? Dickie Dell.
Gabby's agent.
Yep, Dickie Dell, and it's happening after 2 years of stuff.
It's on.
So it's 600 degrees in Sydney, and I'm waiting in the lobby for her to come out of the elevator, and I've got my Argentinian ski hat, club ski hat on, Adidas, because we're Adidas people, and I had my red airline socks, some terrible outfit, and she rolls down in the most beautiful dress you've ever seen in your life. And I see her, but she doesn't see me, and I dive into the bushes of the lobby of the hotel. I can't let her see me looking like
Weren't you sweating? Weren't you sweating from the ski
Well, I
hat?
was inside in the air conditioning in the lobby of the hotel at this time, and she comes down. Holy cow! Like
High heels,
high heels,
stockings. I mean,
whole shot.
ooh,
I've got.
she's at the top of
I'm
her
holding
game, J-Lo.
I'm holding a koala bear stuffy with a ski hat on. And I've learned everything I need to learn about motorcycle riding. Okay, I've got 1,000 questions about motorcycles. Anyway, I go through the service elevator and I run upstairs to change, and I come back down. I look somewhat decent, and we go to eat at an Italian restaurant.
Ooh, carbs.
And
she's gluten.
Brenda was her doubles partner, and it was weird. In a good way. Brenda shows up at the restaurant. She's over there. Her mom and dad are over here. Her agent's over here. And it's like, I need some room to breathe, right?
Operate. You need to operate.
They're listening to everything.
So
I throw out 1,000 pitches and I get nowhere. And that's okay. That's okay. I still love her, and I will always love her. And if she ever were to call me and say, I'm ready for you to move to Argentina, I will go there tonight.
Oh my God, don't tell Kate.
Well, the divorce is easy in Washington State. I am on the next plane. My wife has probably her version of that. Hopefully it's with a lot of money.
And you're on
who goes next? Yeah. So anyway, that was the date. We went nowhere fast, but we always remained friends. Luke's loving it. I've been put on the hot seat.
Yep.
Rebecca, what was life like as they were traveling on tour, but you were making your way up playing? Were you traveling with your sister all the time playing?
So the first year I got to travel with Rachel, and it was just fun because my brothers already were established. So even if we were in nowhere Poland, people were still coming to watch the Jensen, and it was just still neat being in Istanbul and you walk by and you get to see the Jensen tennis rackets for junior kids, and it was just fun. It was just, and if we were done with the tournament, we'd bop on over wherever they were to go see them. It was just it was just fun, an experience that you can't teach at college. You can only experience. And the question that people ask me is how was it growing up living with being a Jensen? I wouldn't want it any other way, and I don't know any. How's it growing up in your family? I don't know. But I loved every second of it, and to be able to experience the different travels and different experiences with each other was awesome.
Patricia, what did you do when they finally went out to college and pro and the house is just gone? There's no one there to take to a junior tournament.
Well, I have 150 ball kids every single year that I go to all. I've been directing. When we moved to Atlanta, Kenny Thorne, the director or the coach of Georgia Tech, called me and asked me if I would direct the ball kids for his men's program. And so it's been, I think since 1995, I've been doing that, and I go to a lot of my ball kids tournaments and advise them for their development, getting them write letters of reference for college for all of them. And right now for Intense, which I'm so excited, Sebastian, I had him as a ball kid since he was 9, is now the line person or the chair judge or whatever you want to call it. And then Marshall, who's the scorekeeper, was another a ball kid of mine for 100 years. So
So
But
you,
Mom-
you never got to the point where you're like, I need to take a break from tennis.
Yeah.
oh, never, never. Because the game was so good to the four people that I do dearly love and have so much respect for. And so I just feel obligated to open some doors so that other people, or especially young people, can experience some of the amazing things that my four did.
Mom, but when Rebecca went off to college, you traveled with Rachel because she turned pro after high school.
Oh yes. Well, Rachel was beating all the college players in the top 20, while Rebecca was undefeated in her high school years. She never lost a high school match, which I thought was amazing. And she could have gone to any college in the country, but she chose Kansas. And even to this day, a few years later, she and Nora are still the only female athletes, not tennis players, but athletes to have won an NCAA championship. Not only in Kansas athletes, but at the Jensen Christmas table, there's only one NCAA trophy, and that just happens to be Rebecca's, not Murphy's.
Yeah, why Kansas?
My mom picked it.
No,
Yes, yes, yes.
Rebecca did.
Uh, uh, she's been drinking the Heineken that no one else is allowed to have. Yes, she told me that's where you're gonna go, so that's where I went.
Well, they had the best yarn barn tennis or knitting store in the country there.
There had to be something because we got USC, Kansas.
No, my mom picked the school for me. That's the fact, because she knew the college coach, Scott Perlman, and she had all these parking tickets from the times we were there before. So I felt obligated that we had to go there because of all the parking tickets he paid for her.
JY, no, JY. When we moved from Ludington to Grand Rapids for indoor training, it just so happened that Wolverine Worldwide that had one of their products that was Brooks shoes, so they needed a tennis person. So they put me as the tennis promotions manager for Brooks shoes and gave me a Brooks van. And every summer we would drive. I would fill the van with kids from Grand Rapids and go to Kansas, Scott Perlman's tennis camp. But I never paid attention to where I should be parking, and I would get parking tickets every single day. And he would yell at me all the time. So that's why I had to send Rebecca to Kansas.
Well, you got a good end of the deal for that.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
No, in the end, it was better because if I went to SC, I would play line 5 or 6 in 3 doubles. Going to Kansas, I started as a freshman line 2, singles, and line 1 doubles. So in the end, it ended up being a better fit for me. So mom knows best.
Woo!
How often have you heard that?
Never.
Never.
But did you want to go to USC, Rebecca?
I wanted to go to SC just like the boys did. So that's where I wanted to go. But honestly, in the end, it was a good fit for me. Was that Kansas?
Rebecca, who was the coach at the time at SC?
I don't know. When I went on
Borelli.
who was it?
Borelli.
Oh, okay.
But when I went on my recruiting visit, they told me not Stephanie London said, "Don't go here." She goes, "It's not a good school."
Oh my God. Well, remember when Murphy was there, they JY, they had the athletes in apartments, not in dormitories. And one day Murphy told me, well, hopefully this is the truth and not part of the movie. But Murphy was on his way back to his apartment and happened to drop his keys. And when he bent down to pick up his keys, a bullet went through his door. Was that true, Murphy?
I remember that story.
It actually pierced my heart. Straight shot. Right through the
No, that is soda, Murphy,
bulletproof
not.
vest. The bulletproof vest I was wearing. It went through that too. I wore 2 bulletproof vests just to get the class. That's what made me so tough and so dynamic and fast-footed. You know, when you're getting shot on the way to tennis practice 6 or 7 times, you're going to develop some great footwork. It's not true. Oh my God. I don't know what the heck you're talking about. SC is in a dangerous neighborhood, but I don't remember any bullet holes.
Told me that story repeatedly.
I remember that.
Defend me, Rebecca.
No, I do remember you saying that. I remember that story.
That's not the story. I was never shot in a bullet. I did know someone who had been shot.
Oh, but it sounded better with you getting.
Bullet went over your head. Maybe Mom told me the story. There you go.
No, but I made it better. You're the best, man.
Now, Luke, Murph, you guys never were in school together, right? I think, Luke,
No.
you just moved on, right?
Yeah,
The
I
library wouldn't
2
allow.
years.
The library wouldn't allow 2 of us in there. Too much brain power for one university.
Yeah.
And Murph,
yeah,
you ended up transferring, right? You went to UGA after 2 years.
Yes, I did. Yep.
What made you transfer?
I went 2 years to the University of Southern California. You know, I was struggling at SC my sophomore year. I had a good freshman year, and Rebecca, Rachel, and Mom moved down to Atlanta to work with one of our early coaches, Brian Marcus. There was an opportunity down there, and a coach who had won the NC2As in doubles, Ola Malmquist, was in Atlanta, and he suggested the original.
Went to Georgia.
He went to Georgia, and so Atlanta, Athens was close by. My original thought was to go to University of Michigan, to be honest. And I was on camp. I went as far with that as going on campus to, get my classes and everything else. And I met Bo Schembechler, the football coach and the legendary football coach, in the parking lot. And the coach was at the U.S. Open. Tennis coach wasn't on campus. He was at the U.S. Open persuading Malavia Washington to stay at school another year. And I ringed Ola and the coach, and they had a scholarship for me. And my doubles partner in juniors was Al Parker. And we had won a lot of tournaments, and I thought this would be a great place to get back on my feet and get some wins, get some confidence, and maybe turn pro. And that's exactly what happened. We are all Americans and did really well and doubles, and did okay in singles, and I was ready to go and hopefully get my ranking up high enough where I could play one day with Luke. So,
did you guys ever play juniors together?
Ooh.
Luke played with
No.
McEnroe.
Yeah, Murphy played with Al. I'm 2.5 years older, and so we played some money tournaments together, some local money tournaments and things. But it was very rare that we got a chance to. We practiced all the time, but we didn't play on the junior circuit or anything like that, except for a couple of random tournaments.
I would like to pause this podcast for a service announcement. I just got a text from my wife, Kate, and I told her I needed to make an announcement with the family. And what better place than to do it on the Zero Love podcast? She says to me, "Do you want me to tell the Moose guy he's on for the price he's offered us? I own a world record bull moose."
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Do you want it, or should I sell it, or should we keep it? So, if anyone in the family wants to match this offer, I am offering it to this family at double the price of this offer. Just so you know.
What's the offer? Wait a second. we get to pay. We have the honor to pay double the price that this guy is offering you.
And
Well,
didn't we
you're going to have
for
to
the
ship
moose
it
to
too.
begin with
It's,
to
it-
get
it-
the moose from Alaska to the United States?
I've been traveling with this moose for 20 years. It's time
Yep.
on this podcast to sell Murphy the Moose. I have
Yeah.
transformed. The Murphy the Moose is dead to me.
Yeah, well, Murphy the Moose went to Alaska supposedly to go moose hunting, and then he had to go and buy some moose head out of a trading green DoubleTree store or Dollar.
It was at the Captain Cook Sports store, and it was across from the Captain Cook Hotel in Kenai Peninsula, Alaska. And I went salmon fishing, and I go to the store, and I said, what else can I do up here in Alaska? And they said, well, it's moose season. Why don't you take a guide and go moose hunting today? And I said, well, how much is that going to cost me? And he says, well, that's like $15,000 for a guide and the this and the that. And I said, and I looked up on the wall, and I saw world record bull moose for sale, not for sale. I said, how about that?
so
And
you're hunting a moose from the wall.
Yeah, it's our trophy. It's really not for sale. I said, everything's for sale. What can I buy that for? And he sold it to me for $5,000. It may have cost me $6,000 to ship it. And the rest is history. And now it's about to be sold on Facebook Marketplace to the highest bidder.
JY, there's a little bit more of the front end of this story.
Yeah,
we
like
were in Los Angeles at the Los Angeles International Airport. We were in the international terminal.
The Playboy Mansion with Dustin.
That's true. It was after the Playboy Mansion. So we have an event in Hong Kong, and it's $50,000 each to just show up. You don't have to win, just show up. And if you win, you can win another $50,000 each. This is 1995. So as we're putting the bags onto the belt to get weighed, to check in, to go to Hong Kong, Murphy, I'm sorry?
Or $50,000.
Well, and a possible $100,000 each. Murphy sees out of the corner of his eye, Anchorage, Alaska, direct flight. So Murphy proceeds to reach down to grab his bags off the belt. And I'm going, what are you doing? I'm going to Anchorage. I'm going to Alaska. I'm like, what are you doing? Because I'm just going to be up there a couple of days. I'll meet you in Hong Kong. What are you doing? So I go to Hong Kong. He goes to Anchorage, gets this stinking moose. The story is that Murphy shot this moose in the wild. So I'm telling all these people, Murphy shot this moose. This unbelievable world record moose. I'm telling Ed Bird. I'm telling LeConte, Johnny Mack about Murphy the Moose. So Murphy flies from Anchorage to Hong Kong to play this match. He didn't really have his sea legs really ready to go. So we came up a little short that tournament.
So what made the Hong Kong trip so bad was I lost my suntan. I was really pale white. And I decided at this tournament to wear a headband the first day off the plane from Alaska. And I got sunburned. My whole head, I had hair then. And I had this white line across my forehead. And we had to go to a very distinguished dinner party, and I have a white line, tan line across my head. It was so embarrassing. And the Australian legends like Rod Laver and Fred Stolley, God bless you, and everyone else would call me Mountain Man. And Murphy,
Mountain Man.
Mountain Man.
So he's got the moose. The moose isn't in Hong Kong. He shipped the moose because how much did the crate cost just to ship it?
Oh, like $5,000, $10,000.
$5,000 for the crate. Yeah. So we're playing LeConte and McEnroe, Johnny Mack. in this. It's an exhibition, but with a lot of bonuses and everything. And when we were growing up, our dad always said, if you ever play that McEnroe guy, you go. He starts all that shenanigans. He starts mouthing off. You just clock him. You take him out. Take a cut at him. Like you finish this guy. So we're playing him. We know him. We've known him for years. So McEnroe starts chirping at some person in the stands or a Lions person, and he's just going off. And all of a sudden, I'm at the net, and McEnroe's on the other side with LeConte, and all of a sudden, whizzing past me is this seat cushion, just right past my head, right at Johnny Mac. I turn, and Murphy is throwing crap at Johnny Mac. So Mac turns around like,
That's
what
not
are you
what
doing?
happened. What happened was first he that all happened up until the point, and he's screaming and yelling at people, and then we lose a point, and I decide to out Johnny Mac. And I take my racket bag and I throw it across the court. It looks like
Racket
a
sale.
yard sale out there on Stadium Court. And I'm screaming at the umpire because I had just hit a serve that was 3 feet in, and that the umpire called out because he's been on the umpire's butt for the last hour. So I'm going nuts. And John goes, "What's wrong with your brother?" and then it gets better. So we're in a bloodbath, like in the third set. And Johnny Mac, and he's the bad boy of tennis, and he's a lefty, and I cannot be serious either. So he gets an easy overhead, and he cracks me right in the head. And I'm thinking, this is the greatest day of my life. I've just been hit square in the head by John McEnroe's overhead. This is so cool. I'm going to tell everybody at home. My big brother didn't think it was that cool. So Luke says to me, throw high kicker to LeConte's crappy backhand. He's going to float it. And that's exactly what happened. Luke comes over with a forehand tomahawk and drops John McEnroe in the crotch. Boom! On the floor, right?
I caught it late.
Literally had to take a stretcher and carry him off the court and let him cool down, if you know what I mean.
Well, now I know.
And then he comes back, and we got that win 7-6 in the third.
That's right.
So you got the win.
You got the win.
You got the moose and the bonus?
That's right. And the bonus.
What a trip.
Tan line.
Yes.
And a tan line.
Yeah, I want to say, I don't know if it's I think it was the same place. We were something happened where there was a default, and they asked us to play an exhibition match in Hong Kong, same tournament. So I got the tan line in my head and a moose back en route to Atlanta. And they say play a 8-game pro set. And we put on the show, the greatest show, the entertainment Jensen brothers with tweeners behind the back, our best stuff. And we somehow pulled it out 8-7. And they're at the trophy presentation, and they hand us this box of gold bars, like 1,000 grams of gold. The first place got that was us. We won this match. We didn't know we were playing for anything. We were trying to tank it. And the other guys got a little piece of gold, like a real little. We got a Cougar and gold bar that I still have today, that my wife's probably selling as we speak. I'll throw in some gold with the moose, she says. Anyway, it was. Did you want to know the story? It was madness at the highest order, the pro game stuff. I mean, Luke and I and the girls, we got to, as a family, live out our wildest dreams. And between the Sabatini date to the moose in Alaska to we could go all day long. It was absolute chaos with the most beautiful love story of my life, which is our family. And it was just the coolest thing we ever got to experience, and all the hours and all the miles and all the heartache and hard days was worth it. Absolutely worth it.
I want you to
Who
I
was
want
that?
I want you to share the story that Rolling Stone magazine followed you all summer because the Jensen family was going to be on the cover of the U.S. Open issue of Rolling Stone magazine. I want
I was on the cover.
No, Murphy. So Murphy tells the whole world all summer long because the film crew from the magazine followed them everywhere, and what? Take it away, Luke.
Now, Murphy.
Murphy, take it away.
So we do the Rolling Stone photo shoot in Montreal, Canada, riding Harleys, the cafes, and it was just the best photographer in the world. Take this amazing, and so the family doesn't know that I was called away to Los Angeles because I had big hands, and the cover of the magazine was Janet Jackson, and she was topless except for these two hands. The hands of gold.
So everyone
Google that, anyone that's listening, of the Janet Jackson cover of Rolling Stone magazine. And that's my story. And I covered up this magazine cover with my hand.
True story.
True story.
True story.
That's not true.
So,
But I
JY. So,
inside
JY.
the magazine was our spread, but I had told everybody that I had a separate photo shoot from the family that had there you have.
So, JY, we were on such a winning streak from 93. So, Paris, and then we hit Wimbledon and do okay. And then we stay in Europe to play some clay court tournaments. And we get to the last one. It was in Stuttgart, the outdoor clay court event. And you got to go to Hugo Boss, and they gave you as much Hugo Boss. We've got these crates of Hugo Boss suits and jackets, all this stuff. Well, Rachel and Rebecca were
on Facebook Marketplace right now.
from 1993. So
I'm
Rachel and
wearing
Rebecca,
one. I'm wearing one.
vintage. So Rachel and Rebecca are playing on the tour in Europe, and they come to visit us. And we get a bye in the first round. So we're playing a couple of guys, Chesnikov and Cherkasov, two Russian guys, who are mainly singles guys, but they got in the doubles. They're going to play. And so the hotel's about 45 minutes to an hour away from the site. So you got to leave kind of early. Murphy and I were already over there.
It's
and
the Rachel head over, and Rachel and I are left behind. So Rachel and I are just being the twins, kind of screwing around. But then we look like crap. The boys are about to probably go play. So we see a player transfer car come up, and two other guys like, no, that's our car. We gotta go. Like my brothers are playing right now. Jump in the car. We took the transport for the boys' match for the two guys that they're playing.
Chesnikov, Cherkasov, it was their car to come play us. They didn't have a car to come play us. They got defaulted.
That's family support.
That's wins for the win right there.
So they get all the way to the tournament, the twins, and go, this is unbelievable. The car was right there. They took us right to the tournament, and you guys get a default. That's insane. And they find out it was Cherkasov's car to take me and Chesnikov to our match. Well, bad luck, right? Bad luck.
How did this all come together with you guys deciding to finally play doubles together? Right? Because you were already on tour, Luke, and then Murphy's coming along. Your ranking was ahead. You didn't have to play with him. Your ranking was a little bit higher, but you still take this on. because that's also where so much of this starts from. But it wasn't part of the plan. You just wanted to play with your brother.
Always. That was always part of the deal. We'd play, and even when I was out there and he would come from college, or when he started out in the minor leagues after he had turned pro in 90 from Georgia, he's playing the challengers and things. And anytime I had a week, I'd go play a challenger with him. At the end of the year, we went to Hong Kong, played a challenger. We went to the island of Guam and played a challenger. We were all over the place just to gobble up points. And so in 92, the end of 92, I was playing with this Aussie named Laurie Ward. He was a veteran. And we'd reached the top 10 in the world 2 years in a row in 91 and 92. And Murphy had gotten his ranking up to top 100. So now we could get in. I was a top 10 player. He was top 100. We were going to get in unseeded, but into all these tournaments coming up in 93. So I was already telling Laurie, listen, towards the end of the year, I'm gonna start playing with Murphy. And there was, that was a big change, because we were a solid top 10 team. And Laurie ended up partnering with South African Donnie Visser. They ended up winning Australia, the first major of the 93 season. And then Murphy and I ended up winning the 93 French. So that was just kind of ironic. We had been knocking on the door, Laurie and I, had a couple of majors, but couldn't break through and win a major. But it was Murphy. Murphy and I always had this dream to do it. He'd worked his heart out to get up through the minors to get that top 100 ranking. And we went to Arizona to train the month of December, and playing in the desert. We went to Qatar for the very first tournament Qatar ever had. It was amazing. We played singles qualies. The culture, they treated us like kings. It was the first year for Qatar. They're paying us in stacks of Benjamins. I mean, $100 bills, stacks and stacks, all cash. And but that was the start of this whole thing. We lost first round there, deep in the third set. We get to the finals of Sydney, Murphy. We got to the finals, Sydney, right?
Finals of Sydney. Finals. We beat Scotty,
and then
in the semis. Scott Davis was playing the third round of the Australian. Then we beat the number one team in the world, Graben, Renneberg, and San Jose. We were off and running right from the get-go. We had a great off season. And then we had a 10-match losing streak going into the clay court season. And by Hamburg, the week before Rome, I mentioned to Luke that he's got lots of points coming off the next 3 weeks, that if he needs to find another partner, I would understand after a 10-week losing streak or something. And he said, I believe in you and your ability, and I don't care if we drop to 2,000 in the world, we're gonna make it. That next week, we beat the defending French Open champions, second round, make the semis, finals of Bologna, and the night before the French, he says, we can win this thing, and we won the French. So I am grateful. I never thought about it until maybe the last few months, is that if Luke would have said, Murphy, you're right. That's a good idea. I should find another guy. I would be pumping gas in northern Michigan right now if that would have happened.
But Murphy, talk about the locker room with Johnny Mac coming in because of your opponents.
Well, Luke says it really well. Johnny Mac always practiced. Johnny Mac always practiced before he goes and calls a match, right, Luke? And he rolled into the locker room, and it's the 49th anniversary of D-Day. The Germans, Goldner and Prinnicel, who just beat the Woodies. We had just beaten Edberg and Korda in the semis. We're playing two unknown German guys on the 49th anniversary of D-Day. And Johnny Mac is walking by, and then he sees us. And he rolls in, and he goes, it's D-Day. You're playing two Germans. And he's screaming at us. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, why is this guy yelling at me? I got a big match to play. And he's screaming about the World War II. Now, these guys had nothing to do with World War II. They speak perfect English, and they're standing 5 feet from us. Right? It is madness. And in essence, we went out and we were down 3-0 in the final set. And Luke had blown 3 straight games. And you've got to pull it together, you choker. This is not the time or the place to pee your pants. So let's go. And then I'm serving for it. And this is probably the most notable story. In the quarterfinals, some of our friends on the tour said, if you guys win this thing, what is your victory going to look like? Bjorn Borg would hit his knees. Yannick Noah ran up and kissed his family. Pat Cash did Pat Cash. What are you going to do? And Luke says, like 4 days before the final, if we win, I'm going to tackle you, pick you up, and body slam you into the clay of Roland Garros like a big-time wrestler. So I'm serving 5-4 in the third after being down 3-0. I just push him off the court and take over. Win the next couple games is 5-4, 30 love. But I remember that Luke had told me 3 days ago that if we won, he's going to pick me up and body slam me into the clay. So I go up to Luke. He goes, are you serving wide or into the body or a T-serve? And I said, whatever you do after we win this match, don't hurt me. He goes, what do you mean don't hurt me? I said, 3 days ago, you said you're going to body slam me. Because we haven't won anything yet. So I proceeded, double fault, double fault, double fault. I got John McEnroe in my ears saying, these guys are Jensens and Steedy. And I'm like, oh my God. Anyway, I somehow pulled out some volley. And then on match point, I'll tell you the truth. We end up getting into some rally, and then it becomes one of those things where the return team starts throwing up lobs. And every time they threw up a lob, Luke would say, yours, because it's coming right to me. And I'm like, okay, you gutless wonder. Bam! And then they throw up another lob right to Luke. And he would say, yours! The guy's wetting his pants. It's the biggest match of our life, and Luke can't even...
So Murphy, what happened? What did you do?
A short lob to Luke on top of the net. And you know what he said, Rebecca?
Yours.
Yeah, so I come over. I don't even hit overheads with both hands. I switch to the righty and I... Yes. And he's so mad that I've taken over the match. He comes up to me to body slam me. Instead of body slamming me, he pounds me in the face with his elbow, breaks my jaw and my nose. That part is true. And I'm pretty mad because I told him not to hurt me at 5-4 in the third, 30 love. And actually, I was the one saying yours.
No, we're not. Because, you know why?
Why?
Following year, I was playing a little mixed doubles with Luke at Wimbledon.
Yeah. He was always known for if things weren't going his way, he'd give up.
Guess what? We're about to be in the semis of Wimbledon. Mitch, Johnny's been broken all match. So all I said to him is, don't blow it for me now. That's what he went and did. He's serving for the match to play against Martina Navratilova on stadium. He double faults 4 times in a row.
4 times in a row.
He kind of blew it. I was not.
Any 3-0 player in Atlanta, Georgia can double fault 4 times in a row.
That's what I'm saying. No one understands the pain like you and I, Murph.
Let's take a commercial break. Luke's Landscaping is open for business. Ever since he blew his knee mowing his lawn in the backyard, He's recovered from his surgery, and Luke's Landscaping is open for business this summer in Atlanta, Georgia.
No, that's out. It's actually critter removal right now. I can
I
take
was
out
gonna say
raccoons,
critter removal.
squirrels, any type of mole situation you may have at home. Luke's critter removal. Right there. I take him to a nice safe space across the river. You'll never have that problem again. I've got my own traps. I've got my own system. It's pain-free. It's very humane for the animals. So think of raccoons.
Luke, please dial 976 babe. 04976 babe.
The first 50 cents, and then it's free after that.
And it's used car at new car prices.
Yeah, used car.
Noon to noon, Murph. Noon to noon.
John Eves, I've got a rock and roll. People are calling that
Facebook.
they heard
Facebook
my
Marketplace.
wife heard I was leaving her for Gabrielle, and she's got a bunch of attorneys and a moose collector back at the house.
And gold bar.
Right.
Yeah, you got to make sure the gold bar is still there.
Yeah, that's right.
No,
it's not there anymore.
When girls break up with me, they take everything with them. I'm gonna get a French chef next. And people always ask me, why do you want a French chef? And I heard it's cheaper than a third wife. So
yeah,
that's the word on the street.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Jean-Yves. Thanks, family Jensen.
Thank you, Murphy.
Thank you. You got it, man. Great to meet you. We met before, no?
We've met before at tournaments, yeah, when I was traveling with Riley. So, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Holy cow. Well, I'm impressed by your show until today. Now I'm worried that the subscribers are going to be either telling everybody about this or running for their lives. So
I think they'll be talking about it one way or another. So I'll take it.
Murphy.
All right.
Murphy. Luke, when are you doing Cincinnati and DC so Murphy can take your place at Intense?
Oh, I'll work it out. We'll figure it out.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
Take care, Jean-Yves.
Thanks, Murphy.
Godspeed, guys. Love you, Fish.
Love you, Murph. Bye.
Mom, I love you the most.
We know that.
Love you, Murph. Love you, Luke. Love you.
Hey, Mom, Luke wasn't adopted, I promise you. I checked.
You checked?
Yeah, I double checked with the doctor. He wasn't adopted.
Hey, JY, did you push record on this? Are we still recording?
The show,
Bye, guys.
just like Intense, the show never stops.
Never stops.
No.
Yeah, never stops. Never stops.
So
You're never out of it.
Never. So I want to ask, I mean, look, I think we all know it's one thing to be a top player. Winning a slam is different, right? And then as an American to win the French Open, that's also very different. How do things change from there?
Oh, geez. It really is. You never live a day the rest of your life where it doesn't impact you in some way, where someone asks a story, even though like the generations have passed, but even now I'll go to a club, it's a director that that remembers those years and things like that, or some member or something like that. Something in the industry always reminds you, or you're still what I call living on scholarship. I'm working with Intense now. I'm still working with ESPN at the majors. That doesn't happen if you're the runner-up with the French Open. You know, we have personality and we had all these great stories and things, but it really is a big difference. And I remember specifically never having to have the pressure of winning a match. I never went into a match feeling that I had to win. I was going to compete hard, and whatever happens, I'm going to learn from it, and then I get a chance. And that's the beauty of tennis. I can play 52 weeks a year. I can be in Tunisia in December playing pro tennis. I'll find somewhere to play to get my game started and get some points, get some money. Compared to other sports. It's great. Tennis is just the ultimate merit-based, doesn't care where you're from. They roll out the balls. Whoever wins moves on. And if you don't win, you're out of the game. And so I remember specifically the night before the French final thinking, we may never get here again. We're unseeded. We won 2 matches, the first 2 rounds, 12-10 in the third, down match points, down 5-3 in the third round, rain delay. And I'm on the phone. Murphy and I are fighting. And Murphy and I aren't talking during this rain delay to try to get out of this jam. So I'm going, listen, the tournament, we're about to resume in about 40 minutes. The covers are on. The rain's going to stop. They'll pull the covers. We'll play 1 game and I'm out of here. It's like 1:30. I'll be out of here by 2:30. I can go to Charles de Gaulle, United Airlines, straight to Chicago, get a rental car, and I'm salmon fishing in 24 hours in Lake Michigan. So I'm on the phone with United Airlines booking this flight, and I get a tug in the back, and it's PMJ Mama Bear. So it's always nice to have Mama Bear around at the tournament. And she's got Murphy 6'4" in one hand. She's got me in the other hand at 6'2", and she's banging our heads together. Hey, you knuckleheads, like start working together and get this right and go win this match. So I never was able to get my credit card information to United Airlines, so I wasn't able to book the flight. So we go back on the court, we come back and win 7-5. So now we're into the next round, and what Murphy said as far as the body slam, all that stuff in the finals. But I remember the night before thinking, we may never get back here, and we never did. And being down 3-0 in the third serving was the most important moment of my tennis career, because you don't hold there. You're down 2 breaks. You're down 4-0. This thing's over. And how important that moment was. I don't know. I don't remember what Murphy has ever said about that specific moment, because he was at the net, but I was at the wheel for that one. And you just go to fundamentals, and every experience you ever had on the tennis court goes into that moment to hold serve, to just hang in there, to stay just 1 break down. But holding the trophy, I just remember specifically everything we ever worked for, everything our parents ever sacrificed for, like, this is it. And so we're going to high five every fan. We're going to kiss every baby. We're going to do every interview possible to ride this wave, to ride this French Open championship. And we had personality, and we had a thing because of we were brothers. I had the ambidextrous thing. There was a lot of nuances, and doing the rock and roll thing also helped, because it was Agassi, it was us. There weren't a lot of real personalities kind of in the sport at that time. McEnroe was kind of leaving the stage. Connors was kind of leaving the stage. And so we just got hot at the right time, and we pulled it out, and we've been living on this rock and roll tennis wave ever since. And it's been honestly magical. And how this all kind of happened is because of our parents, specifically PMJ, that has a motor of never quitting on kids, never quitting on her family. And you see it in her work with kids today, that she just loves to give kids opportunities to shine and empower them to reach their full potential. And we were just the 4 of us. We're blessed to have the right parents to give the right opportunity that they never had as kids. And it just has been working out ever since.
Well, you know, what sticks out to me, and it goes back to that story of Stuttgart where Rebecca and Rachel ended up going to that tournament. I mean, because travel life for a tennis player is hard. You know, when you're by yourself, maybe you have a coach, you're traveling, but still it can feel pretty lonely. I mean, you, Luke, you had your brother there traveling, but then Rachel and Rebecca, you're traveling together, but then you also meet up at tournaments. I mean, I wonder how much that changed the dynamic for just the experience of being on tour, because you had so much support around you. Maybe not that exact week, but one of you always had a sibling or your mom, or then you all met up together at the same time. Like there's people that will travel, you know, you talk to the Aussies, like they might not go home the entire year, right?
The whole year.
And so I wonder if that made it more just enjoyable for you guys also to live that life, where for others it's really hard.
It was so competitive. I mean, Murphy and I were competing every single day. We didn't practice. I I remember we were on a train from Rome to like Nice, France for some tournament. And we played chess. And at some point he got pissed off, breaks the board, throws it at me, pieces it. I mean, we're always competing. So I would say it was like enjoyable, right? But we were together. And because we were always together, we didn't give up on each other. We fought a little bit harder in these matches. And to be honest, coming from a small town, this was an opportunity of a lifetime. To be a pro tennis player, to make money doing this, I mean, there's no way you're going to see a family of 4 being out there traveling the world and doing this. And we were just always blessed to have this opportunity every single match. And we kind of played like a fan in a sense where, imagine some official, goes into the stands and says to you and says, hey, JY, we need a player. Would you like to come down and be a professional tennis player? And you're like, yeah, how would you act? How would you behave? I mean, that's how I feel every single day. I get to be on the court. And especially in those days when there are people that are cheering for you and wearing your bandanas and gear and all that stuff, it was just surreal because we weren't the best doubles team, right? We were unseeded and we got lucky and we got hot and we pulled one out of 2 weeks out of down match points and breaks, but we did it. And the one thing when you do win a major and this as a player, you face a lot of negativity. You have to go against a lot of players that you have to beat that are really good. But once you win that major, no one can ever say that you weren't good enough. So not only did I win a major on my own, like we do it together, no one could ever say like the Jensens weren't good enough and you're not worthy of it because you have to earn every match on the circuit. You have to earn every tournament win, every tournament victory. And then of course, every major, you earn that sucker. No one gave it to you. The other side wanted to beat your brains in. And so they can never say the Jensen brothers were never good enough. We got the hardware to prove it. And it's an unbelievable feeling that accomplishment, is a family win for everybody just because so much went into creating the toughness that you have to go week to week and face that giant that is pressure, that wants to take your money and get you off the tour and just keep beating you down. And you face it every single week because everybody is good.
Rebecca, I wanted to ask you this question. I know you obviously ended up winning the mixed. You got your slam.
No, in my mind we did. I'm just kidding. Murphy and I never did.
No, you never did.
No.
Well, I was like, okay, I got my notes. I'm like, man, I can't believe I missed a slam title somewhere. He sold me good.
I also have a picture of Luke and I during the 96 Olympics with me biting a gold medal. And I tell my girls I won the backstroke in the 96 Olympics.
Well, I don't know if that one I would have bought, but the other one I bought pretty well. But I still want to ask this question because I don't think the answer will change. But I hate to ask this classic question that I'm sure you've been asked before, but I think it's because you'll give a different answer, which is, you're younger than them. They're the ones having a lot of success. They're older, so they get a little bit more attention at first. Did you ever feel like you're in their shadows having to prove anything? I don't think that it felt that way for you. I feel like it was just so much support and awesomeness,
Oh, no, I wouldn't know. They always made us feel like that trophy was our trophy. Like we all did it together. Like all the titles and all the stuff. I always was so proud of everything. And I was like, those are my brothers. We did that. Like they did that. Like that's us. And when you say like, is it hard for a tennis player? What's hard is you're in Ludington, Michigan. It's -5 degrees. And you're working at a gas station. I'd rather take a train from Nice to Paris any day of the week, playing some rain on some clay. I'd rather do that all day long. So what my brothers did, I never felt in the shadows because I always felt uplifted by them. And I'm like, it was always family. And they're like coming to support us when they were down, had downtime. And pop over. Luke came and watched us play in Jakarta on his way to some tournament, and got to watch Rachel and I play against the number one girl in Indonesia at the time. But yeah, it was just family all day. I've never felt that way.
Patricia,
Joey, you know this from playing, right? You know your parents sacrificed so much, right? You're on that court and you start to realize the cost, the sacrifice. You try a lot harder, right? And it's just such a blessing to keep progressing up the ranks and keep fighting for every match, just because your parents have set the example, the toughness and the mindset, and you almost play for them. To be honest, I did. I wanted to play for them because they had done so much to put me in that position to succeed.
But they never made us feel like they were better than us, or like we've got our girl. Like, I know I got my mixed with Murphy, but no, they never made us feel like we weren't. They made us feel like we were part of the show with them, that we were just as good as they were. We were in that Rolling Stone article. Like, Rachel and I are like, whatever big thing they had, they made sure we were part of.
I mean, that's hard. I mean, and Patricia, especially from your side of things, like to divide that attention and make everybody feel equal, like that's not common, right? And so I think the effort that was put in for the family, I mean, that's incredible to have it turn out this way, because it's just not common. That's why I asked that question, because that's a typical question. It's like somebody must have felt like they were left out or not getting enough attention, and so that was like their chip on their shoulder, right? But if anything, it was just all love and support all the time. It starts with parenting, right?
Like,
I mean,
we were never jealous of each other. We always lifted each other up, and we gave each other hard times. I could say that. And like, there were battles. I know that for a fact, but it was, in the end, it was just all about love and lifting each other up.
and I'm curious. I know I've taken a lot of your time, and I really appreciate it. But I want to ask about. Luke, I know you guys have heard this before, but you guys were the Bryans before the Bryans, and obviously not in the terms of the success they had winning that many slams. But my gosh, like you guys were the first example of when they talk about like, well, what's wrong with like doubles viewership, and it's like, well, the Jensens found a way to make it fun and get people to get out there to watch. Like, you brought so much personality to doubles, to the sport. It was a show, whether it was singles, doubles, mixed doubles. People were there to watch. They loved the personality. Where'd that come from? Yeah.
Well, I go back to our roots. Again, I talked briefly at the beginning about our parents being high school phys ed teachers, K through 12. And you walk into those rooms, those gymnasiums, and they're teaching, second graders, fourth graders, and it's just fun. Like, it's games and all these kids from this small community, and they grow up. And so my mom's picking out little gymnasts for her program. My dad's picking up tennis players at a very young age, not when they're in junior high, but when they're in like the first and second grade, getting them excited about sports and being part of this culture that they've developed. So on my mom's side, I'm seeing all these championships being won and the hard work, and they're having fun. And I'm the coach's kid, and they're torturing me and things like that. And then I go to my dad's tennis team, and it's a boys tennis team, and they're my big brothers, and they're having fun, and we're going fishing with our bare hands in these streams, and they're treating me like, again, the coach's kid. They're always having fun and mixing it up, and it was just those early years to see these kids play a game, not to get scholarships or make money on the tour or even to get to college through tennis. It was just this raw, I want to be on there, be out there, be part of this team. And my parents made it fun for all the kids. It was just this wonderful culture. So we'd always dream about if you were playing Wimbledon and how you would serve and high five. And it was it was the 70s. And it was this huge, it was obviously after the 60s and all the hippies, and there was tie-dye uniforms and headbands, and kids were wearing their hair long, and it was rock and roll. And then of course, going through the juniors, and by the time we got to the pros, the freedom to kind of express yourself. We had, the McEnroes and all these personalities, even before Agassi, that tennis was coming alive. And so for us, when we started, especially with our success, high-fiving kids in the stands. I mean, all you got to do real quick, and you know this when you're playing, just turn to someone, whether a ball kid or anything, and all of a sudden, they'll be on your side. We'd be playing an Italian in Italy. And of course, they want the Italian to win. But we would go to the kids, high-five them, high-five the fans, throw our wristbands, throw our gears into the crowd, and they loved us. And so we really fed off of that. And it just kept building and building. And we had great examples. You remember 91, if you remember that Connors run at the US Open, where he used the fans in New York to draw them in and be a real factor in that run that he got to the semis, beating Patrick McEnroe in that great Paul Harhus match at night. And those were great examples for us to bring it back. And what happens is you have the Bryant brothers who are just kids, right? They're playing the juniors at the US Open, and they come to our matches, and we got the temporary tattoos and all this stuff, and we're signing autographs and things, and they see what is possible beyond hitting forehands and backhands. What is possible if you go out and really enjoy what you do, and you bring the fans who are there to be entertained and to have fun. We lose the fun factor, and they never did. And it's really like, you look at like Dimitrov, he copies like Roger Federer's strokes. That's unbelievable. Or Roger Federer copied Pete Sampras's serve. But to me, especially this year when the Bryant brothers are going into the Hall of Fame, and you mentioned it like they mentioned us. I mean, we won one slam. Those guys are the greatest doubles team of all time on so many different levels, tactically, physically, two kids, mirror twins, lefty, righty. They were smart. They were consistent. They had firepower. But they had this mindset of drawing everybody in. And we had an element to do with that. We were, that one kind of team they looked at and said, you know what, we can do this together. We could do it in singles. Bob could have been a very good singles player. They were great in juniors and in college. But to know that they took an element of what we did and put it in what they did and made a Hall of Fame career to the very end, the chest bumps and the high fives, and always giving back to the game. It is an unbelievable honor to be mentioned with them as part of their element to success.
How was that in the locker room to have those types of personalities when you all were playing?
Well, we were having a lot of successes, off court with endorsements. We were having there were a lot of players. The Woodies were better than us. I mean, they were winning a lot of stuff. There were a lot of teams that would beat us up and on the court. So we were battling. We weren't like getting to the finals every week. We had to really earn it every single week, but we would get appearance fees. We were getting all these endorsements. PMJ was working the phones, getting us guitar deals, movie theater deals. We had Breathe Right on our nose. We with the most random things. And these other pros that were
Jensen Audio. Don't forget Jensen
audio. Yeah, Jensen Audio. We just all these random things going to beyond the marketplace than rackets, shoes, and clothes. And we weren't the best, players, but we were the most marketable in a lane that we had created. And there was a lot of jealousy. I mean, there was a lot of players pissed off at us, pissed off at their agents because they weren't producing that. Well, they weren't selling any tickets. That was the bottom line. I mean, you guys, they were winning more prize money, but we were gaining off the court because we would do the interviews. Back then, we didn't have podcasts. So you'd go first thing in the morning in studio, 6 a.m., and you're with the local radio DJ talking about your match that was going to happen that night. It wasn't the best thing for our tennis, but it was the best thing for our off-court deals. And it was the best thing for the tournaments and the games because people in the bar, the sports bars, and we'd do in-person autograph sessions at sports stores and things like that. Everything. And we go to tournaments, and tournaments saw value. Tournaments now don't see value in doubles because they go to the tournament and they go, where's my player's badge? I've got my team. Where's my transportation car? Where's my hotel? Instead of, hey, tournament director so-and-so, Tommy Haas at Indian Wells. Tommy, I'm here playing doubles. Can I help you in any way? Can I go and do a kids clinic? I'm for free. Can I go out to a club and help sell tickets? What can I do to help promote your tournament? And we did that every single week. Even tournaments that some tournaments didn't like doubles players, but they loved us because we would go above and beyond. Jan Tiriac, remember Jan Tiriac from Romania? Dracula. He hated our guts, but he ended up understanding, like, we would come to him, Mr. Tiriac, very respectful. What can we do to help your indoor tournament in Stuttgart or wherever it was? We'll do media, we'll do kids clinics, anything. You don't have to give us a check. You've already given us an opportunity to be here. How many teams are doing that now? And that's why they're irrelevant. They're just a match on the schedule. They're really good. The entertainment values, if you go watch, they're really good, but no one knows who they are, and they miss the boat. Where the Bryan brothers, they understood that from the start. And I never saw them have a bad day, and they did have bad days. I never saw them miss a chance to give a kid inspiration and a high five. And that's I have so much respect for that family. I mean, talk about a family you should interview. I mean, they did it, and at the highest of levels. But it's got to be important to give back at every opportunity, whether you're number one in the world or you're just trying to make it. How can you give back to our sport to inspire that next generation? We would play Basel in doubles, 92, 93. Every tournament, as you know, has a little hot shot. Oh, come out, this kid, 8 years old, 9 years old. Well, in Basel, you know who that was? Roger Federer. So and Roger would come up when Murphy was doing his Tennis Channel stuff, Murphy's Guide and all that. And Roger gave him tons of access because he remembered Murphy giving him a racket or whatever it was. And he was just a little ball kid. And, players remember that stuff. The Bryan brothers remember all that stuff.
Do you ever feel the need to conform?
Ooh.
And just give in?
But give in to what? I mean, it's just, I didn't even know what that even
The
meant.
pressures that maybe your tennis would be better if you just focus more on tennis and you stopped with the off-court stuff.
Yeah. That's a really good question. And Mom, you would speak to that because I remember, we had great deals in 93, 94. But 94 was not as successful. We weren't winning majors. And the pressure from the sponsors, we got to see more performance. And so, I mean, we had some wins here and there, but we weren't winning like the Woodies were winning or some of these other guys. And I remember companies wanting us to get a full-time coach, companies asking us to rein back on the media and everything. I mean, the reality is, and unfortunately Murphy's not on right now, he was really struggling with the addiction, with alcohol and drugs. And unfortunately he's not on to talk about it. But the pressures on him were great. And I didn't know it was going on until 95 in Rome that he was struggling with that. So there was a lot of stuff going on off the court with us. But, it's what I wanted to do. And so we were just carrying on. And so we really struggled because of, his off-court challenges and then trying to keep him, honestly, focused and sober, because every deal we had, every clothing deal, every random appearance at tournaments, it was the Jensen brothers. So it wasn't like I could just split up and find somebody else. We were going to play together. Now, I don't know if you remember in 95, he's playing, we'd already lost in doubles, but he was in the quarterfinals of the mix. And he went off to go fishing in Scotland, just left the tournament. No one could find him. We didn't know where he was. And it was just this international thing that, where's Murphy? And he was just not in a good place health-wise with his mindset and his body and his addiction. And that was a whole nother act, what is going on with the Jensen brothers? It just kind of elevated, like the what we were doing. You know, besides the high fives and all the energy, there was a side of like, what's up with these guys? Why are they missing out on Wimbledon? And there was a lot going on at the time, but unfortunately, he's not here to describe or really dig into that side of the journey.
He's finding his moose.
He's selling his moose.
And so when did it all finally stop? Rebecca, when did you stop playing tennis?
I'm gonna say 1999. Maybe 99. That's like 99, 2000. That was the shoulder just wasn't really like I could never get it better. My serve was just my arm was just always not getting better, and that was tough though because you also think, what if I play one more time and like I just beat like this girl, Sarah Botnick in black, and they end up 2 years later being number one in the world. And I was like, but like when is when and how much? And so I think it was 99. I ended up just like stopping.
And for you, Luke, when did you stop?
Yeah. So we had this thing we talked about earlier. Jensen's never quit. So it was just a pride for me personally. In '98, I blew out my knee, and it was a whole year of just trying to recover the knee. And then I had surgery, multiple surgeries. And so really that was the breaking point where I had like a solid year, but my knee at the US Open froze up in the semis of the mixed doubles. I was playing with Brenda Schultz McCarthy, and then surgeries after that, and it never recovered. So I was able to basically play, I think my last tournament or US Open was probably 2005. So I got another 7 years out of it, and playing with Murphy. But the game, what I say, Murphy could play, but as soon as I couldn't do it anymore and I couldn't move, he didn't want to play. He was like, we were doing it together, and he could have kept going, but he wrote it until I honestly couldn't move anymore. And the game basically swallowed me up and kept moving on. So I would say probably 2005-ish, 4, 5, or 6. And then I started coaching in college at Syracuse University. So, the game is brutal, right? The game is for the young. It's for the ones who take care of their body and are, knock on wood, can stay healthy. And now they eat better now. They take care of their machine better. That's why they're lasting longer. Look at what Djokovic is doing. Look what some of these doubles, Bupana in his mid-40s is still doing. And it's just, it's a different time now. So it would have been interesting to have had the same nutritional benefits and the training benefits. But the game, blessed us beyond our wildest dreams.
Patricia, what was it like when that's it? The tennis was stopped. All the kids done playing professional tennis. Was that like a break, a relief? Like, okay, we can just.
Oh,
how was that?
no, it was always family first, and whatever the family was doing at the time, whether it's playing professional tennis or whatever, it was whatever was best for the family at that juncture of time. So we still were, even to this day, everybody is still involved in tennis in one capacity, one role or another. So we're still contributing. It's just a different role.
That's awesome. Well, look, I just want to ask one last question to each one of you. I mean, as you look back, and like you said, Patricia, you all are still in tennis. And now, especially with the Intense League, there's a different way to contribute to tennis and try to change things, hopefully bring out more personalities and players. But as you look back, I mean, what do you want your legacy to be with tennis?
Who do you want to go first?
We'll just go left to right on my screen. So we'll go Rebecca first.
Man. Well, that's good because by the time you get to Luke, you'll forget what I said. Because that's good. The legacy of the legacy of the Jensens would be, honestly, Jensens never quit. We never gave up, we never gave in, and we never let out. Like Jensen's never, that's our legacy, is that whatever we did all out. Wearing Scooby-Doo from head to toe, doing Kids Day till the last kid dropped, or like last kid was there. Like Jensen's, that from the day I was born to the day I'll die, it's Jensen's never quit. And now that will forever be our legacy.
Luke?
Top that.
Luke?
Boy, that's a lot there. Because there's so many phases that had to happen. The personal side of it, thinking what my parents gave to us, the sacrifice. I just the trips with no money, right? The one-way ticket, not even having enough money and having to borrow money to get back from the people that we played against or beat or lost to. So many stories like that. But in the end, I really think what our parents instilled, besides like the toughness and the ability to get back on your feet after being knocked down after every loss, was we just had fun. We had fun with all of it. Every single day we're on the tennis court, whether we're winning or losing, I always felt we had this ability to have more fun than everybody else. We lose at some point, a competitor in this sport loses the fun aspect. Remember, we're kids, you're like, God, it'd be so great to be a pro tennis player and be like our heroes. And then you get there, and for whatever reason, the points and the money and whatever, I never felt pressure up there, but it's just the grind that a lot of people, I love being out there. I love the lifestyle. I never wanted to leave. I wanted to play every single week out of the year, whether it was a challenger or a tour event. I just loved the lifestyle. And I loved living in 5-star hotels, and getting paid to do it was incredible. But in the end, I think for me that if you ever saw us play or ever saw us teach on the court, doing the podcast like now, what are we doing? We're having fun. I think that's the one thing that always comes to mind. We weaponized fun. While our opponents are stressed out about this net, we were just having so much fun on the court, going through the ups and downs of a match, of a tournament, of a career. But we always found fun. That was always the driving force to get up and have more fun than everybody else.
Patricia?
Well, the one thing that I learned from Luke, which I share with my ball kids all the time, he was #1 in the world at the time, and at the U.S. Open, lost. He didn't win the last point. All right, and so he was walking away, and a reporter went up to him and said, "Luke, what do you think about that match you just lost?" And Luke turned around and he said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You just lost that match. Score was, whatever the score was." And Luke said, "I never lose." And he said, "Yes, you did. The score was, yeah." He said, Luke said, "You've got to understand this. I just ran out of time." And I use that all the time with my ball kids. And so when they call me on Sunday night to give me the report of their tournament, there are times when they will say, "Today I just ran out of time on my quarterfinals or semifinals or whatever." And I think that's a great lesson, because in any tournament, there's only one person who wins at the end. But if you don't want to call yourself a loser, if you learn something in the whatever match you're playing. And so to have the mindset of, I just ran out of time, is absolutely incredible. So the value of family, the value of being able to grow together and love each other is probably the best experience of all of our lives.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. I mean, what's crazy is we've talked for almost 3 hours, and yet I feel like we still need another 10.
Yeah,
So
and you know what? And I was fighting don't you dare tell Andrew, but I was fighting with Andrew. I said, what are we going to talk about? He said, let's do at least 2 hours. I said, if we can get by 1 hour, it's going to be incredible. He said, you better go and make notes.
Well, no, I genuinely appreciate your time to sit here for this long. I mean, I can't tell you how grateful I am. So, what you all have done for tennis in so many different ways, the tennis community, whether they know it or not, they were impacted by things you've done, and you're still impacting it now. So, thank you for giving me so much time, sharing some stories. And Luke, I'll be seeing you in Atlanta soon. Patricia as well. Rebecca, hopefully get to see you there as well. And
JY, do you know that when back to the Bryan brothers, the Hall of Fame called me and said when the Bryan brothers were told that they were going to be inducted in the Hall of Fame, their first immediate response was, please make certain that the Jensen brothers and PMJ are there, because it was because of the Jensen brothers that we were able to reach the level of success that we were able to achieve. And we want to make certain that they are there for us. What a nice compliment that is.
Yeah. I mean, that's incredible for them to recognize that. I mean, I'm not surprised because they are just such a class act, but I mean, that goes to show, I think winning 50 slams isn't always the most important thing. I mean, look what you did with what you had and the impact you had on kids growing up. I mean, I never forgot it. So I remember all the matches I watched with you guys, the blue rackets. I still know those. Yeah. So, yeah. But thank you for your time. I can't wait to give this all a listen to, and then I'll see you all in Atlanta.
JY, man,
JY.
you did a great job, man. I've done a lot of these. You were hanging on. Well played.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
See you,
Thank
buddy.
you.
See ya. Bye.
Bye-bye.